All right. Good evening once again for more American Truck Simulator. That's right. Hello, Animal Time Shorts. Yes, you are first again. Welcome back. Hope you can get your PC back soon and fixed up. So yeah, I am back with another stream of this game. I'm sorry if you guys are tired of me live streaming this game. I know I've been doing this a lot lately. Do I watch TikToks? No. But I have seen some TikTok clips. But it's not something that I would, you know, watch. I prefer YouTube Shorts, to be honest. I mean, I've seen a few TikToks, but I don't look at those on a daily basis, you know. You posted some Fortnite clips on TikTok. Oh, you play Fortnite? You play Fortnite? And you have TikTok as well. Wow, one of your TikTok videos got 1,000 views. Wow. And a ton of hate comments. You got a ton of hate comments? Then they're funny. Okay. I don't know, TikTok is weird in my opinion. Hello, Landon. You got that fancy long username with your Thomas the Tank Engine angry face. So yeah, guys. I'm going to play more of this again because we currently have the Haulin Hearts event, which is basically the Valentine's Day event, part of the World of Trucks events. Oh, you got to your new home? That's awesome. I forgot you told me that last night, that you're moving to a new home. So, yeah. Last night I started doing this. Yeah, how did you change the font, Landon? That is pretty interesting. And how can you have such a long username like that? Face emoji. Oh. Okay. So last night I started doing this, the Haulin Hearts event, where you have to do 14 deliveries. Why 14? Because Valentine's Day is always on the 14th. So I guess that makes sense, yep. 14 deliveries, and it doesn't matter how long the deliveries are. So I did 3, last night, and I did the shortest one. And I guess I'll keep doing the shortest ones on the list, just so you can get this done faster. Yeah, I'm going to try and complete this before Valentine's Day, or really before Sunday. Yeah, I think I can do it, because this is a very simple event. Doesn't matter what cities or states you go to, as long as you complete 14 of these deliveries, then you are done. You got your personal goal. Let's see. And this ends on the 18th of February, which is my 12th anniversary on YouTube. Yup. Believe it or not, it's crazy. That long. Yep. 11:59 p.m. UTC time. That's the Czech Republic time, because that's where the SCS Software is, the company that made this game. So that's really 5:59 p.m. my time, which is Central Time. So they're what? 6 hours ahead? Yeah, they're in Europe, so. And I bought this. I bought the Valentine's paint job. And it's funny because that paint job came out 7 years ago, in 2017, and they're finally having a Valentine's event. Yeah, because they didn't have this last year, so that's cool. So yeah, that's why I'm doing more streams of this game. That's one of the reasons why. Another reason why is I'm going to, I don't know how many deliveries I'll be doing tonight. So I currently have 3 out of 11 completed, or 14. 3 out of 14 completed. So that's, I have 11 more to go. So I might do 5 tonight, and then 6 another night. I think I'll be back again tomorrow night. Maybe I'll finish this tomorrow night. We'll see. Alright. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'll be doing. We'll see how long I'll be playing this game. This won't be a super long stream, maybe a few hours or so, and we'll see how many more deliveries I'll get done with this Haulin Hearts event. So anyway, I'm not going to do any commentary tonight because, for those of you that were around, last week or the week before, I was I did more streams of this game while I was listening to more football news on the playlist that I made, so I am gonna listen to more of that. Might as well, right? I'll basically do that before the Super Bowl, which is this Sunday night. Yep. So after this weekend, I'll take a break. I'll take a break of playing this game, and then I'm gonna move on to something else. I'm gonna move on to a new live stream series that I'll be doing. I don't know when I'll start that, but probably sometime next week. And then after that, the following weekend will be my 12th anniversary on YouTube, so I'll have to see what I'll be doing on that day. That's on Sunday as well, the 18th. Yeah. Oh, looks like one of my Steam friends that plays this game, he was doing this as well. 5Tayer. He tuned into my stream last night, and he was doing this. This is his truck, I assume. Haulin Hearts within the mountains. Oh, nice. All right, Landon, you have a good night in your new home. And you're in Arizona, so you're like in mountain time, so it's only 8:30 for you. But yeah, moving from one home to another is a lot of work. Especially if you're by yourself. It's a lot of work. But, you know, there's some people that move every couple of years. It's crazy, you know, and there's some people that move hardly ever, you know. It all depends. Four years you'll move out? Oh, like you'll move out on your own? Is that what you mean? You haven't moved in like 12 or 13 years. Oh. Oh, when you turned 18. Oh. Okay. So that means you're still in school and stuff, living with your parents. Well, I still live with my parents. Yeah. You just don't see them in the videos that much. So, Animal Time Shorts. You said you haven't moved in 12 or 13 years, but don't you have two different homes, right? You once told me that you have your mom's house and your dad's house. So, what house are you usually in? And what house has all your cats? Because I know cats, they don't like to travel. But I know dogs do. Oh, you're 13? You're turning 14 this year? Wow. Oh, well, you're going to be turning the same age as Animal Time Shorts or CC Games YT, his gaming channel. Wow, you guys are some... Yep. Teenagers. Y'all are teenagers now, basically. Yep. I remember when I was a teenager, 14 in 2015. back when my videos sucked. You know, that happens. That happens. That happens to everyone. You make videos when you're a teenager and you think they're good, but then when you turn into adult, you realize that how bad they were. But that's normal. Animal Time Short says, well, with your mom, you haven't moved in that long. Your dad moved in with your mom. They bought this house. But your mom got the house because her dad paid for it. Oh, so your grandfather? Your grandfather paid for it? Your birthday, Landon says your birthday's on October 16th, 2010. Wow. A quick question, Landon. How did you find my channel? I'm just kind of curious. I know how Animal Time Shorts found my channel, or his other channel, I should say, from his other account. Animal Time Short says they needed a bigger house after you were born. Okay. So your grandfather paid most of it. Wow. So basically, pretty much since you were born, you haven't really moved. Landon says, I watched you since 2020. Really? Wow. That's about 4 years. And you were what, like, you were like 9 or 10 years old back then, 4 years ago, and now you're 13 going on 14. What was the... So, how'd you find my channel? Like, what video did you watch? Was it a live stream? What kind of video was it in 2020? The COVID year. Animal Time Short says, other than your dad's house, but that wasn't really moving because you only bought some of your stuff there. Okay. Or you only brought some of your stuff there. I didn't... Excuse me. Alright. Oh, it was the Roblox traffic lights video. Okay, well now... Okay. I remember now. I remember now. And then I started checking out some of your videos. I saw your most popular video. What was it? That 20th Century Fox thing that you made? That looks real, by the way. You done a great job. And I think I commented on that. Yeah. You made that 3D logo. That's what it is. Yeah, those... I made a few Roblox traffic light videos, and some of them got, like, over 1,000 views. Kind of surprising to me. Okay. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna do more of this. We'll see how many I'll do. Most likely I won't finish this tonight, but I think I can in the next stream. I think I'll be back again tomorrow night. I'll try and finish this by then. We'll see. Landon says, also, your brother broke the toilet at Walmart back in September. What do you mean? What do you mean broke the toilet? I remember you also did some short clips of, like, you in the bathroom, you in the restroom at some places, right? Flushing commodes, yep. What if I start doing that? I don't know. He hid it by 1,000 toilet papers. Wait, so he flushed 1,000 toilet papers? That's how it... That's how the toilet stopped working? Or flushing? What the heck was wrong with your brother? Why did he do that? Is your brother younger than you? Oh my gosh. Wow. That's a lot. It clogged? What the heck? Why did your brother do that? Well, I don't know what to say about that. Okay. Can you imagine having a ceiling fan in your bathroom? Yeah. The bathroom has to be big enough for the ceiling fan. Alright guys, I guess I'll resume doing this. And I'm gonna, once I start, I'm gonna mute my mic so I can listen to more football news. I'm gonna try and finish that playlist before the Super Bowl. Landon says, also your dumb ass hater likes poop. What? What kind of hater is that person that likes poop? A YouTube hater on your channel? I'm pretty sure that person's just trolling with you. You should probably just ignore that comment. Just ignore that troll. There's trolls all over the internet. It's not just YouTube, it's all you know, websites, social media, and all that. I mean, it's easy. It's easy to become a troll, you know? He eats it for breakfast. What the hell? Hey, Acer. He says, hello, I can't watch right now. You have no internet. You can use your phone. Oh, you have no internet? Your internet's out? That's unfortunate. Oh, okay. That's alright. Yeah, I saw those those weird videos you sent me. That last one was probably the funniest one. How old is that footage? Oh wait, did you respond back to me on Instagram? Yeah, you did. You just stumbled upon it while watching Instagram vids. So how do you find these vids? Are they just like on your homepage, like just random videos? Like YouTube? Oh my gosh. Okay then. I kind of used to do that, but I'm not on Instagram that much. It's just YouTube, pretty much. Landon says, or worse, he eats his cat alive. Okay, dude, don't believe in that stuff. He's just trolling you, okay? That's there's no way he's doing that in real life. I mean, do you believe that stuff? I don't. I mean, you gotta be crazy to do that. Acer says, yep, paying for internet sucks ass at times, especially when you forget to pay the bill. Oh, you're at your parents' house right now. They forgot to pay the bill. Well, that's unfortunate. So that's why you have no internet. Damn. Dang, dude. Well, just ignore him, Landon. Don't even pay attention to what he says. He's just trolling with you. That's what trolls do. They just say weird stuff. It's funny because I don't get troll comments, you know, but a lot of times I get dislikes on my videos for no reason. But they could be, maybe they're also bots. Remember a couple years ago, every YouTuber got those bot comments with that weird, inappropriate website? Yeah, I don't know why that was a thing. Why did we get those weird comments? But luckily we don't get those anymore. But now everyone's getting dislikes no matter what, so that's like the new thing now. The bots. Yep. Oh well, it is what it is, so. Wow, we got 5 viewers? I can't believe it. Alright guys, well I guess that's all I gotta say until I start playing this game. Landon says also your teacher was like, I wanna see M9RE, but TS. What the heck does that mean? Acer says, yep, I'm not allowed to talk about stuff like that on Facebook because your family sees stuff you do on there. Not even mention stuff like that. Wait, talk about what? Not paying your internet bill? Is that what you mean? Is that what? Oh, you have Facebook too? I have Facebook, but I don't really get on there much. Alright, Landon, you have a good night. I mean, I guess so, but why would you talk about that anyways on Facebook? That's kind of weird. I mean, that is personal. Like I don't say stuff like that. Oh, guys, I gotta pay my car insurance bill. Yeah, it's like what? No one cares about that. They don't want to hear that stuff. But seriously, I got my car insurance bill paid. Yep, from Geico. I'm not gonna say how much it costs, because why would I? Why would I say that? You guys should know that's expensive, anyways. So, hey, we have insurance in this game, Truck Simulator, just in case if you get in a wreck. Yep. But yes, guys, I do have a car in real life. I know I haven't done a video on it yet, but there was a video where you saw it. I showed it to you. It was one of the Christmas decoration videos, yeah. And I did a video of I did a video tour of it, so one of these days I'll finally release that video. I just don't know when. But pretty soon. Acer says your dad is so strict when it comes to social media. Wait, what do you mean by that? Like, saying certain things? Animal Time Short says your American Truck Simulator insurance would cost so much. Oh. Huh. Yeah, that's if you have your own truck. My first truck, it's damaged so much that I can't even use it. I need to repair it. So then I'm like, well, let's buy a second truck instead. And I like that truck even more. I still have my old truck, I just gotta repair it. Which I can do. But, I don't know. I'm also thinking to buy a third truck later this year. Yeah. Alright guys, so I guess this stream will be a few hours, I guess. We'll see how many deliveries I'll be doing. I'm going to do the shortest one each time because, it doesn't really matter. I have a lot of money in this game anyways, so yeah. I think I can get this done. Probably the next stream I'll get it done. Acer says, yeah, even swearing online. So, your dad doesn't like bad words online? That's kind of weird. I mean, there's some adults that don't like bad words, so you have to respect that. Someone that you know that doesn't like bad words, you gotta respect that, you know? But pretty much all the people that I know, they don't mind bad words. Acer says the only escape from that is YouTube. Well, you can't even... Well, yeah, you can say bad words on YouTube, but if you're making money, monetizing your videos, you can't really say bad words. That's the bad part about it. You know that you know how there's big YouTubers that say bad words, but from the past, they don't say bad words as much because they still want their videos to be monetized because that's what they do for a living, you know. Yeah, it kind of sucks, you know, that their policy changed. But if you're just doing this for fun, like me, then just keep doing your thing. Yep. Acer says he doesn't know about you swearing on YouTube. Oh, okay. Well, guess what? You're not the only one. My parents, they don't know that I do that too. Well, actually, I don't really say bad words much anymore. But in my older videos, I did. Yeah, for those of you that remember watching my old videos from the past, yep. I know you know, Acer. The old Eric. Especially from 2015. Before I hit puberty. That's kind of how it all started. Your school still has the no phone policy thing. Oh, your high school is not allowed to use cell phones at all? Hmm. The old Eric slapped so hard. Oh boy. Maybe for my 12th anniversary, what if I just do reaction videos to my old videos? Like, oh my gosh, they're gonna be so weird to watch. Or just do a big compilation video of all of my old videos with my old voice. The high-pitched voice. Yep. Acer says it's that rule where you have to sometimes put your phone in your basket. Your basket? What basket? Wait, every student has a basket to put their phones in? That's weird. I guess your school doesn't trust you. I went to a pretty crappy high school, so they didn't have that policy. Acer says, you don't want to do that. Even your life skills program has that rule because we're not supposed to be on your phones in the workplace unless if it's for the work purposes. Oh. I mean, I guess that makes sense. I mean, why would you be on your phone anyway, you know? I've never done that life skills program, whatever that is. The program is run by your school. Your high school or middle school? What? What? How is a program like that run by your school? That doesn't make sense to me. Maybe it's because I know nothing about this. I don't know. So you're... Wait, so you're basically in college? That might be it. Yeah, because you're 19 right now, right? Yeah. Anyway, I guess that's it. Guess what? It's about to be 10 o'clock and I still haven't played this game yet. I was going to start playing this game, but you guys popped in here. Sometimes you never know. Some streams, not many people tune in. Some streams, more people tune in. You just never know. You just never know. Acer says it's run by your city school department and district. I guess mine has one too, but I'm never in that program. Because I don't know anything about it. I mean, what's the purpose of that? What is that about? I think you told me that, but I just forgot. I mean, there's all kinds of skills programs anyways, so you can learn anything. You know? Like, if you want to be a doctor, that's what, like 5 to 10 years of medical school? Oh, geez, that's a lot of years, man. But there's people that can become a successful doctor going through that. And basically, if you do that, you can become super rich. Yeah. But that's if you really want to do it. If you don't really want to do it, I wouldn't do it. I would do something else. Alright guys, I guess I'm ready to play now. So, I'm gonna do some more of these Valentine's deliveries, whatever you call them. I might do 5 tonight, and I'll do the rest maybe tomorrow night. I think I'll be live again tomorrow night to finish this. Acer says it's a life skills program where we do 4 years at your local city hall. In a school that used to be an elementary school and now it's a private school. What's a city hall? Four years? You have to do 4 years of this? What the heck? Well, I guess it's just like college, right? 4 years. Well, I hope I hope it's going well for you. That's really all I can say about that. So yeah, I'm gonna mute my mic and I'm gonna resume that big playlist that I made of the big football news videos. I'm gonna try and finish that before the Super Bowl. I'm thinking to do a live stream of this game during the Super Bowl while I listen to the Super Bowl radio broadcast. Like, what if I do that? Like, make it as my radio. I almost did that last year, but I might as well do it this year since I've been listening to so much of these videos, you know. And after that, if I do that, hopefully it's not copyrighted. Well, I think the commercial breaks might be copyrighted because, you know, a lot of commercials have copyright music in it. But I don't know, I might try and do it and see what happens. And then after that, I'll take a break playing this game and I'm going to move on to something else. Acer says it's basically job experience practice for the real world. Not to mention, we do get paid sometimes, especially over the summer. Wait, job experience practice? What? Like, what kind of job experience? Like, there's all types of jobs in this world. I mean, I'm working right now. I've been working at this tennis club for over a year. And, you know, I'm not going to be there forever. I mean, I can quit whenever I want, but, part of me still likes it in a way. The pay rate isn't that good, though. I mean, that's what happened. That happens to everyone. Your first few jobs, the pay's not going to be good. Unless if you get lucky. Unless if you get lucky. Alright, Acer, you have a good night. Alright, I'm gonna start now. Sorry if sorry if it's been... How long has it been? Wow, it's been 50 minutes already. Alright, see you later. So anyway, guys, I'm sorry if you guys are tired of me playing this game, but this just shows you that I love this game so much. I know I've been doing like a marathon of this game lately, but then there will be times where I won't be doing this for like a month, you know? It is what it is, but we got this going on, this Haulin Hearts event, so that's one of the reasons why I want to live stream this game again. Plus, I want to finish, or try and finish that playlist of the football news. So, alright. I'm gonna mute my mic. Oh, look, some people left already. I have there was, what, like 5 or 6 people? Now it's only 2 people. They're like, yep, I'm done waiting. They're done waiting. I can't blame you. That's why the best part of live streams is that you can watch them as an archive, meaning you can skim through it, basically. You know? There's some people that delete their streams after they end them. I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on what the stream's about, but... Alright guys, that's it for real. Well, for my commentary. And I'm gonna resume the playlist and mute my mic and resume, do some more Valentine's deliveries right now. For those of you that are still here, if you have any questions, you guys can ask in the chat, and I can still respond back to you by typing my message. But sometimes you're gonna have to wait for a little bit for my response, because it's hard to text and drive. Alright. But I do have the chat on my phone. I'm glad the stream is going well. So far it's not buffering. That's good. Let's hope it stays like that. Alright. Let's resume right now. Enjoy.
I think it'll be 2 weeks tomorrow that Haulin took over Alabama for Nick Saban. Coach, of course, led Washington to the national title game. Now the new head coach at Alabama. Well, you've been there almost 2 weeks. So, Coach, how's your accent? Has it changed?
No, it hasn't. Still got that Midwest kind of feel to it, I think, and it probably always will. So, but it's great to be on your show, Dan. I appreciate having me on.
Where are you right now?
We're in Alabama, just making our rounds and on the recruiting trail. So it's going great. When you said 2 weeks, it kind of hit me about how fast time's been flying by. So we're making the most of every minute. The coaching staff's coming together nice, and just really proud of how far we've come in a short amount of time.
All right, the number one thing that you had to do as soon as you hit the ground in Tuscaloosa was what?
Well, meeting with the team and really trying to get in front of them. The craziness of college athletics, and in particular the portal, and just trying to make sure that they got a feel for who I was, in the moment. As soon as I landed, got in front of them. But the next, 4 days or so, trying to meet with them individually in groups. You're trying to build a staff at the same time and showing them the vision, and feeling the personalities of those that will be coming into the program to coach them. So that balance right there, kept me busy for those 4 or 5 days. And now it's kind of reaching out and getting to the recruiting, that's been done, whether it's guys that have signed, and just trying to continue to impress on them their importance in our program. And I'm excited to have them joining us, and of course the classes in the future, the 25s and 26s and so forth.
Well, also, were you re-recruiting some of your players who were going to go in the portal, or at least talking about going into the portal? Yes,
absolutely. And that's a big part of it. I think that's probably some of the best recruiting our coaches have done so far is really recruiting our own roster. And it's crazy to say that, but I think that's the case no matter what. But I think it's even at another level now, just with everything. So I'm really proud of the way our guys, when I say our guys, our team, have been receptive and embraced our coaching staff and myself. I think we've done a great job of retaining the core, the nucleus of who's in this program. There's so many great players, and they want this place to be great. And, certainly caught them by surprise. And, it hits you pretty hard when, Coach Saban retired. And that's a big piece of why they came here. But they also came here to wear those Alabama colors. And, they've really, again, been receptive to myself and holding together and wanting to carry on the legacy of this great place.
Do you get Coach Saban's office?
Yeah, I do. It's. I think about all the people that have been in there.
Wait, he cleaned it out. So did he leave anything for you in his office?
I haven't found it yet. There's probably a few things that we'll talk about, and articles and things like that. But he's going to be certainly around the campus, and excited to have him around. So much institutional knowledge and just everything that I can draw upon. I've said it many times. I'll say it again. It'd be pretty foolish not to use him as a great resource. I know he wants this program to continue to be great in the future.
Okay. Did you have that moment where you sat there in his chair, at his desk, in his office, by yourself, and just said to yourself, I'm the head coach at Alabama?
Yeah, it's certainly a special place, and Coach Saban's made it that way, and I think that piece of it was intriguing and exciting to me when going through this process of looking to being the head coach. And he's made it an amazing job, as have others that come before him too. So, the legacy he leaves, you can't help but notice it. And, carrying on that tradition, that's my goal.
When did you hear, or your people hear from Michigan prior to you taking this job? Did Michigan ever reach out to you about the possibility of replacing Jim Harbaugh?
No. This was all about Alabama here, and
this is prior to you taking that. I know Michigan had a wish list there of in case Jim was actually going to go back to the NFL. So and your name was on that from what I was told. So I was curious if they ever reached out to you prior to you taking Alabama.
Yeah, no, that would never have been anything that I've been made aware of. I think, when you think about the timeline of how quickly things happen from a national championship game, and 2 days later, Coach Saban retiring, and the next day an interview, and then hired him. There just wasn't a lot of time for anything. So, it's been a whirlwind, and excited to be the head coach at Alabama.
What did you do with your Washington gear?
I don't know yet. I haven't been back since I took the job, so it's probably sitting there in the closet somewhere. But we'll get back there and get the family moved down here and
God, isn't that strange
out.
though? Isn't that strange, Coach? That you get up, you got to go, you got to hit the ground running, and your family's still back there.
Yeah, it was. It happens fast, and that's probably. The unfortunate thing of all this is how quickly it happens. I probably spent literally 5 to 10 minutes packing a bag and forgot a lot of things, and just enough to get through a few days. And actually, that carries on through a few weeks. But there's no great way to be able to talk to the fan base and your team. I'll get to that here as things settle down and make sure everyone truly understands how much I appreciate them. When you're the head coach, you invest a lot of time into it, as well as people investing in you. And certainly that place has got a special place in my heart and always will. But those players there are so special, and again, happens fast. It's the unfortunate part of just the business and how things go.
Yeah, I know. It's really the crappy side of all of this that you get that team to a national title game, those kids, and all of a sudden, did you get to say goodbye to anybody?
I got a chance to be in front of the team, and even not all of those guys, just with how quickly it happens. We're able to get the message and be there, and that's again a very unfortunate. Not the way you want to have it happen, but within 10 minutes, you're sending out a message to the team after accepted the job. And I was on campus and met with the staff briefly, and told them how much I appreciate them, and met with the team, and literally had to fly down here and get to work and meet the team, and all the things that we talked about earlier about recruiting the roster and thinking about getting this organization rolling as quick as we can.
Well, good luck on the recruiting trail. Thanks for joining us, Coach.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for always having me on, Dan. Appreciate you.
Haulin DeBoer, he's the Alabama head coach. Hey, you take the job, next thing you know, it's like, hey, can I get together with you? Get on a private plane, and you're gone. Hit the ground running.
Let me just give Charger fans a little idea of what's coming. What's coming, I believe, is a fullback. What's coming is an offensive line that is going to be stout and crush. What's coming is Justin Herbert having a spirit animal. And whatever Justin Herbert has in him, the dog or whatever that he's got in him, Jim is going to talk to him about it and talk to it. He's also going to have somebody not in the quarterback room put gloves on and throw the football around before a game. He's going to get his coach going up to him and just slapping his shoulder pads and talking straight to his grill. And going to have that in the third and the fourth quarter, and this team's going to be really tough when it comes down to that. This team is also going to have a guy face front here in Los Angeles that is finally, I think, going to solve the Chargers going to Charger situation. Now, I say this fully, again, as I mentioned at the top. What happened to Michigan against Michigan State, and Jim, I believe, his first foray against them, where all you got to do is get a punt off and you win the game, and they don't, and they lose it. And all you have to do is after the punt gets fumbled and the guy who picks it up is rumbling to the end zone, all you got to do is tackle him and the game is over. Instead, he scores and the game is over. That is the most Charger way a game can end. I totally understand that happened to Jim, right? There were some other moments, too, like the TCU game is a Charger going to Charger type moment. But I feel this is your best bet to break the chain that binds so many different Charger fans over decades of disappointment and gutting losses. I feel Harbaugh solved that riddle and puzzle in Michigan. He solved that riddle and puzzle in San Francisco. Don't forget, San Francisco was terrible before Jim got there. Brutal before Jim got there. He solved that puzzle in Stanford when there was a provost standing there saying those kids aren't coming here because of their GPA. And he still went ahead and took down USC when USC was USC.
What's your deal, bro?
Yeah, right. And so he's going to solve the puzzle here. And this makes the AFC West that much more interesting when he brings his brand of bravado and backs it up with the stout physical play that is always his earmark and fingerprint. When he brings that to the fore against the Kansas City Chiefs, who may be two-time defending Super Bowl champs when they play each other twice, I proffer to say Travis Kelce will find himself marked in a way that he has not been, where he's wide-ass open like he does against the Chargers. I will tell you that. I will also tell you this, Chargers fans. Get ready to be called out for selling your tickets to other people when the Steelers are in town or the Raiders are in town. You know, I played in, and it'll come in a very subtle way, or Harbaugh staring off into space at the microphone, and get ready for him to just do things really differently. You are not going to be used to this Chargers coach. It's going to be different. And I believe this is a watershed moment. I really do believe it. And it's going to be a battle joined here in Los Angeles, where the Chargers have always been since they came from San Diego. Just, you know, tenants or interlopers. Nuh-uh. Obviously, him against Sean Payton in Denver. Denver wanted him. No, Sean Payton gets a job. Now he takes a job for the Chargers. It's going to be so different, and the world of the NFL is so much more interesting with Jim Harbaugh.
The Ravens play at
the Chargers.
LA this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we're going to get a Harbaugh right off the bat.
Bookmark that for Sunday Night Football, Week 2.
Oh, I mean, there'll be a battle for it. I'm sure ESPN will want it. I'm sure CBS will want it. I'm sure it'll be a big battle. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free. Okay. We knew this day was going to come. I knew this day was going to come when I was pounding the table for him to arrive. Again, we're in year 10 of our show. We're going to celebrate our 10th anniversary next October. We've got a lot of time between now and then. But when we first came on the air in 2014, for the first time as a TV/radio simulcast program, the story of the day when we came on the air in October of 2014 was the San Francisco 49ers and how they were looking under Jim Harbaugh and how he was chafing at the gig. Sitting there at 7-7 in the middle of November and December, and I'm sitting here and I'm hearing all these rumors that he's going to go. And there was a rumor maybe he'd go be the coach of the Raiders, because he's sure not going to leave San Francisco to be coach of Michigan, which was floundering and in desperate need of his attention. And I was all over that concept when Jim was at San Diego, University of San Diego. So many people say, well, it makes sense that he's a Charger because he played for the Chargers and he coached at San Diego State. No, it was University of San Diego where he was coaching. And I remember being there on the night the Cowboys and the Ravens closed down the old Texas Stadium together, and Jim was on the sideline in full Ravens regalia with John, who I believe was handing it off to Willis McGahee to be one of the many to rumble over the Dallas Cowboys in closing down Texas Stadium with a loss. And I remember Jim running past the set, the NFL Network set, and I just stopped him real quick because he was saying hello to Marshall, who, by the way, just like me, is a freshman on campus in 1986. Jim was my first quarterback. Jim was Marshall's first quarterback as a professional. We were in Indianapolis together. And I said to him, you got to come home. Come home. And he just smiled at me and ran off. And I'm like, all right, I'll take that as a yes. Honestly, that's the way the state of Michigan was. And that was before Jim took the gig in San Francisco. So, I just had always hoped he'd do it, and then he did it. And then the entire time that he was at Michigan, hoping he would do what he was setting out to achieve, which was, as he told me at one point, we need to be dominant. We will be dominant here. He used that word, dominant. We will be dominant at Michigan. He literally told me this in a phone conversation. And I'm like, okay, coach, you go be dominant. And then we saw, obviously, a lack of dominance against Michigan State, that awful, stupid punt. And then Urban Meyer taking charge of the rivalry in a way that Ohio State fans loved to lord over my head. And then the script flipped in 2021, and then, as we all know, 3 consecutive Big Ten, outright Big Ten championships, 3 consecutive trips to the college football playoffs, and eventually, this year, a national championship. And the question was, why would he stay? And, deep down I hoped, and a lot of Wolverine fans hoped he would stay because he wanted to just be our version of Bo Schembechler. Stay there for 2 decades and win Big Ten championships and go and retire in Ann Arbor with his family. We hoped for that. But this completely makes sense that he would become the Los Angeles Chargers coach today, because he's been kicking tires on the NFL the entire time he was winning Big Ten championships. And all of us in Michigan fandom were nervous, like, hey, he's going to leave before he accomplishes the mission. And, hey, how are we going to accomplish the mission if he stays, if he's, say, talking to the Vikings on signing day, as he did 2 years ago? And how is he going to then say, I'm not going to look at anything in the NFL after he comes back from Minnesota, and then sit in his Ann Arbor living room with the new owners of the Denver Broncos? And how are we going to win a championship even if he stays? And then he stays and we won a championship. Because he's Jim Harbaugh and he does things his own way and he beats to his own drummer, and we don't know where the hell the drum is located or what the beat is. It's just his beat. And that was part and parcel of rooting for Jim Harbaugh as Michigan head coach. And then this year was a perfect microcosm of all that, with suspensions not once but twice, beginning and end, and all of that eventually meaning nothing about taking him off the scent of winning it all, which he did in, as we found out, beating Nick Saban in his last game at Alabama and then beating Saban's successor in the national championship game. And then deciding that he does, after all, want to finally scratch that itch to add a Lombardi trophy to his case, just like his brother has. And his brother could have two of them 2 Sundays from now, 3 Sundays from now. So it makes sense. Makes complete sense that he wants to leave, and I have no problem with it. 0 problem with it. And there's a personal reason for it as well. And this is something that Charger fans get ready, because he's going to have a sense of tradition and reach out to people from the Chargers past and try and build it as part of the present. He did that. I was honored with me when he asked me in 2016 to be an honorary captain. And I went out there. Brockman, you were there. He let me speak to Team 137. I blacked out while talking to them. You were personally there, watching me essentially black out.
I watched it. It was really cool.
And it was just great to be in Michigan Stadium and be part of the program. And it was a personal thrill for me that I will never, ever forget. And then this past year, remembering these moments, talking to the team, with Jim sort of like beaming behind me there, and reliving my campus days with you and my buddy Paul, and going out for the coin toss and forgetting what Jim actually told us what we should do if we win the toss, and freaking out and hearing the cheer from the crowd. I was talking about this with my son Zan yesterday, and he goes, did you get, and Coop, he's like, did you get cheered, Dad? And I'm like, yeah, it was the loudest cheer I've ever heard. And they're like, really? They're cheering loudly for you? I'm like, no, that's when polite applause is given to you by 110,000 people at once. You know?
A lot of people there.
And I remember
crazy.
Going back to the sideline, and Jim was already hands on his knees, leaning over, getting ready for the game. And I'm like, oh God, did I not do this one job that I have to do as an honorary captain right? About, did I choose which way we're supposed to go properly? Because this is him giving the instruction to me. That's Jake Butt on the left, who's now on the Big Ten Network, telling us what to do if we do at the toss. And I totally forgotten. And then went back. I'm like, oh no, did I screw it up? And Harbaugh looked straight at me after I walked back, and he says to me, hey, nice ovation. That's what he said. I'm like, okay, I guess I didn't screw it up. And then this year is a lifetime memory for me and every single Michigan football fan, and for him to bring a national championship home and make it happen with a bunch of kids who are mentally tough and great representatives in the community, and be the Michigan men that we want them to be. And I understand about the whole Connor Stallion stuff, and that is going to be part and parcel of anything mentioned to him. I see all these conversations about you know, what happened that I am absolutely glossing over, because I choose to talk about what this means to me and what he did, and how anybody's like, sir, you upset that he left? Absolutely not. Jim Harbaugh, thank you for absolutely everything that you did for Michigan, and you go get what you want, sir. You go get what you want. You want a Lombardi trophy, you go get it. And that's my opinion. There might be some Michigan people out there that are upset that he's leaving. You know, those who stay will be champions. Well, now you can basically say in this day and age, those who are champions, go ahead, chase your other dreams. And he's included in that. I have no problem that he wants to leave and do this whatsoever. Certainly in this day and age where he's now going to a league that has rules over free agency. When you get the guys under contract, they're under contract. You don't have to sit there and wonder if they're going to transfer portal in year 1 of 4 that you have them. You know what I mean? Like, it's a totally different world. And if he wants to go to the NFL now, you know, with his family and live out here in Los Angeles, then do it. So, thanks for the memories, Jim. And good luck. See you around Los Angeles. See you at the Starbucks down the street in El Segundo, where the Chargers are now moving their facility just down the street from us. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.
I have grown sick and tired of Bill Belichick being news in terms of people acting like they don't understand what's going on. Shouldn't Mike McCarthy have been let go in favor of Bill Belichick coming to Dallas? I believe that answer is yes. He's a 6-time Super Bowl champion. He's been to 9 Super Bowls as a head coach, an additional 2 more as a defensive coordinator. I think it's a no-brainer. Of course, he should have been there. Actually, it might have been 3 more, 2 with the Giants and 1 with the Patriots, but that's neither here nor there. Here's what I'm saying. Bill Belichick, the 6-time champion, it is Bill Belichick. Dallas should have grabbed him. Especially with all the problems they got. They had bad enough players infighting, and then you got Cowboys Nation going at one another, but you got parents and siblings of players going on Twitter. I mean, Elon Musk, nobody's smiling more than him these days. I mean, damn. But I'm saying to you, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, you should have grabbed Belichick. If you're the Philadelphia Eagles, it was worthy consideration considering the way they nosedived over the last 7 weeks of the season. If you're the Atlanta Falcons, you should be rolling out the red carpet. You should be getting on your knees and begging Bill Belichick to come. So why hasn't that happened? Why is it that they need to have these conversations, but nothing is been handled yet? They don't have a prime candidate or whatever. They interview others just like they interview Bill Belichick. It's very, very simple. It's Tom Brady. Bill Belichick, for all his greatness, is the man who pushed the golden boy out the door. It's what he did. If Tom Brady had retired and gone into the sunset, into the twilight, oh my goodness, you know, it's over for me. I really appreciate everybody, love y'all, but it's time to call it a career. No big deal. But that's not what happened. Tom Brady wanted to stay. Robert Kraft is convinced he would have been able to convince Tom Brady to stay. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. And it didn't happen because Bill Belichick didn't want Tom Brady to stay. He had thought years ago it was time to move on, which is why when Tom Brady went and won the Super Bowl in Tampa, Robert Kraft was busy telling people, that man told me Tom Brady couldn't play anymore, and here he is winning the damn Super Bowl. Meanwhile, the New England Patriots were nosedive. Belichick turned 72 in April. 4-13 record this season. The worst of Belichick's 29 seasons as an NFL head coach. 24 with the Patriots, 5 with the Browns. By the way, the New England Patriots ranked 31st in scoring offense and 30th in total offense. Didn't have a player selected to the Pro Bowl for the first time since 2000, Tom Brady rookie season. And by the way, 29-38 in 4 seasons after Tom Brady's departure. The record was the 11th worst in the NFL during this time. The Patriots also reached just one postseason and where they got annihilated and blown out by 40+ by the Buffalo Bills. Including the playoffs, Bill Belichick is the second winningest coach with 333 wins in NFL history, behind only Don Shula, who's at 347. That's 14 wins shy. So he needs 15 wins to pass Shula for the all-time record for coaching wins. And we know Belichick wants that record. Let me tell you something, he wants more. He wants to win a Super Bowl without Tom Brady. But stop acting surprised if he doesn't get that chance. He turned 72. He's accustomed to having power. Obviously, he knows he's forgotten more than most people know. So the reality is that you're going to have people who are going to be reluctant to hire him because he's going to dilute their potency as executives. What the hell can they tell him once he gets there? If he doesn't want to listen to you, what you going to do about it? You're going to do a damn thing. Because he's Bill Belichick. Which is where the reluctance comes in to hire him. By the way, one important stat, over the last 11 NFL drafts, from 2013 to 2023, Bill Belichick has drafted an NFL low 3 players who went on to become Pro Bowl selections. Linebacker Jamie Collins, who's now retired, a punter in Jake Bailey, who's now a Dolphin, and Mac Jones, who backed into a Pro Bowl selection as a rookie. That's it. That's where the hesitancy comes in to hire Bill Belichick. I thought I'd bring it up and get it out the way because we gotta stop acting like there's such suspense to all of this shit. It's not. It's real obvious what's going on. He's an accomplished, incredibly successful, yet demanding old figure, which a younger generation is not inclined to vibe with. They got their own things going on in some of these other franchises. They ain't trying to deal with that, which is why it would have been perfect for Jerry Jones, 81-year-old Jerry Jones, to say my time's running out. I need a Super Bowl. I got the personnel. I just need somebody to coach him. That ain't what he did. That ain't what happened. And as a result, it is entirely plausible that the 2024 NFL season may begin and Bill Belichick may not have a job at all.
So the Carolina Panthers have named their coach. And I know there were some thoughts that maybe they'd go ahead and land Vrabel. Remember, there was talk even Harbaugh would go there. Obviously, that was one that wasn't in the cards because he never interviewed there.
Belichick, didn't you say
Right.
Tomlin maybe if he were to
If he were to pop free
Pittsburgh,
because
yeah, so.
David Tepper comes from the Steelers
Right.
minority ownership group. Well, and everybody thought they were going to wait for Ben Johnson to be free from the Lions, the offensive coordinator of the Lions, because they coveted him their last coaching search. And as you know, they've had many different coaches there since they bounced Ron Rivera. Well, Ron Rivera, from the mold, if you will, of Tom Flores, because they're both of Mexican heritage, there's now a new head coach there of Mexican heritage. His name is Dave Canales, the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, is going to be the next head coach for the Carolina Panthers, and he will be the one who charged with solving the Bryce Young puzzle, if there is such a thing. And so there you have it. Dave Canales, who is well known around these parts, once upon a time an offensive coordinator. He started off as the offensive coordinator at Carson High School. And then El Camino College is where he started cutting his teeth as a special teams and tight ends coach, and wound up landing on Pete Carroll's USC staff at the very end of Pete Carroll's run as an assistant strength coach. And at a crossroads of his life and career, whether he wanted to continue staying coaching. He and his wife decided to apparently stay the course of coaching, and Pete Carroll called and offered him a job on the Seahawks staff where he was the wide receiver coach for folks like Doug Baldwin and Jermaine Kearse and Golden Tate when he was there for a while. He was the receiver coach from 2010 to 2017, then became the quarterbacks coach, passing game coordinator, and was the quarterbacks coach for Geno Smith's resurgent season. And that's when Todd Bowles said, hey, I need someone to call plays down here for Baker Mayfield. Are you interested? He said yes. Calling plays as a professional NFL coach for the first time. And you saw the results and clearly impressed the Tepper family enough to say, you're the guy. A lifer who once upon a time, before he started really sinking his teeth into coaching, sold cowboy boots.
Wow.
Sticking with it. And now he's the head coach of the Carolina Panthers with a very important task. Do for Bryce Young what you were doing, obviously, for Baker Mayfield. And then, obviously, it also would mean, well, can you get Mike Evans and Godwin around here? You know?
That would help.
That's the problem, too, is it's not just, obviously, the reason why Bryce Young might not have looked as great as C.J. Stroud is, you know, let's get him a Nico Collins. Let's get him, you know, some weapons. But they got him the guy who just turned the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense into something that a lot of folks didn't see coming. And that's the same thing you could say about Dave Canales as coach of the Carolina Panthers. That's breaking news. Hour 2 coming up with Rashee Rice at Kansas City. So, I mean, I don't know what to make of it. I've never met Dave Canales. I've never had much of a conversation with him. But the Tepper family, let's go get him.
To be fair, Adam Thielen low-key had a decent season.
I'm not saying the cupboard was totally bare, but I mean,
catches.
You know.
But not Mike Evans and
Right.
Chris Godwin. No, absolutely not.
I honestly don't know what to make of it. It's one of those things again. Hey, is he gonna be the next genius coordinator to turn into a head coach who can handle everything? Locker room, personalities, coaches' challenges, OTAs, get your staff that's going to be equally as young and dynamic.
Clock management.
And that's the whole thing. You do that, you pay someone a little less than what you would have to pay somebody like Vrabel or Belichick. And I keep on turning to what we just saw with the Milwaukee Bucks. They're like, we've got a team that can win right now, and let's get Adrian Griffin in the 43 games in, despite winning 30 of those 43. Go, well, he's not it. Let's get the guiding hand. Let's get the more veteran hand. Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.
Well, it happened. Jim Harbaugh goes to the Chargers. We weren't sure. We kept hearing speculation, rumor, sources close to, leaning towards, and then all of a sudden, boom, Harbaugh to the Chargers. It's a great move. And I started to wonder, okay, how does this impact Justin Herbert right away? How does this impact the Chargers with the overall, placement of them in Los Angeles, where they fit in, the sports hierarchy there? They're now relevant. They made the best hire they could possibly make. They could have brought in Pete Carroll. That would have helped you in the local market. Belichick, I guess you would have been relevant. But I get Jim Harbaugh. I get a great coach. I get energy, leverage that he brought in after leading Michigan to a national title, going back there. He's, what he did in San Diego. He played for the Chargers, and now at least you're curious about the Chargers a little bit more than you were. But I think Justin Herbert now is on the clock. Harbaugh is as well, but now it's Justin Herbert, and now we want to see, are you taking that next step up with some of these big boys there? We'll have a whole question coming up, probably on this, but if you're a Charger fan, I'm curious how you feel today, because I'd feel really good. We got the coach that we needed. You bring in somebody who is polarizing at times, but he's a great coach. And he's a great coach for quarterbacks. you look at where he was, University of San Diego, not San Diego State, University of San Diego, winner. Stanford, turned him around, winner. Niners, turned him around, winner. Michigan, took a little while, inherited a team that wasn't very good the previous season from Brady Hoke and made them national champs. He's a great coach. He wins wherever he goes. And his quarterbacks develop. Whether it's Andrew Luck, who was generational, Colin Kaepernick, a big surprise, J.J. McCarthy, who's going to be a first-round draft pick. He's really good. And I think the window, although the window will probably be a little tighter because it's Harbaugh, and we're going to expect a turnaround there. You got the 5th pick in the draft, and I'm guessing that in 2 years from now, probably 3, we're looking at Chargers as a Super Bowl contender. Maybe after 2 years. I think it's a lot to ask. Him coming in right away and then all of a sudden, and, you know, keep in mind, going to the AFC. If he went to the NFC, went to the Falcons, the road's a little bit easier. AFC in his own division, he's going to have to deal with the Kansas City Chiefs for a little while longer. Denver will get better. We saw that with Sean Payton. The Raiders, maybe they turn it around. But Jim got the quarterback that he wanted, the best quarterback available. If you're a coach, you got the best quarterback available. As for Michigan, probably promote from within. But if you're going to leave a place, that's about as good as you can leave a place. Now, in a couple years from now, if we hear the NCAA is asking Michigan to vacate the national title, then maybe you'll have some hard feelings. But this is a good exit. National title, everything's pretty good. You've been dominating Ohio State. By the way, Ohio State is spending some money, folks. Spending some money. NIL, now it gets interesting. Ryan Day said, we got to spend $14 million. Last I was told they had spent $13 million. They got $1 million left. Hey, what do you want to go out and get? It's like going to get groceries. Sometimes you go out and you buy groceries, and then you'll see something, you go, you know what, I'm going to get some olives. Okay, yeah, sure, get some olives. That may be what Ohio State's doing. They're going down the grocery aisle going, yeah, I'll take that, yeah. Well, yeah. You know, I haven't had Triscuits in a while, sure. Let me get those. But Jim Harbaugh, the impact, leaving college football, going back to the NFL, it's a lot of fun. Taking over the LA Chargers. All right, this first hour brought to you by the great folks in Las Vegas. We can't wait to get there and celebrate. It's a city where spectacle and celebration are woven into the fabric of that community, Las Vegas, where conventional is challenged, unexpected embraced, and it's not just celebrating, it's celebration with an edge. Jim Harbaugh was with us at the Super Bowl in San Francisco. This was February of 2016, and he was at Michigan at the time, and I asked him this question. Is there unfinished business with the NFL?
No, there's just new business. The way I look at it.
Because Pete had unfinished. It felt like there was something more that was there. John Calipari may go through this at Kentucky to go back to the NBA. So I don't know if you felt like, I got there to the Super Bowl. Is there part of me that says, eventually I want to try that again?
I've never looked at the unfinished business thing. I mean, it's just, it's new business. It's proving something for a new time. In a competitive way, and for anybody, whether it's Derek Jeter or Michael Jordan or Pete Carroll, people have done it at the highest level. I mean, even though you've done something 1,000 times, now you're doing it again, and that's all that matters is what you're doing right now. So, yeah, the unfinished business thing has never really resonated with me. It always feels like there's a new game, there's new business. Win the next game. That's the goal.
Well, after he finished business at Michigan, now he's tending to the unfinished business in the NFL. And plus, you know, this is 2016. So he's very careful. Like, you don't want to say, yep, I'm going to go back to the NFL. I got to get back and win a Super Bowl. But I think deep in his mind, he knew that eventually he was going to go back. And I think it was important for him to go back and prove that he could do it again and maybe win a Super Bowl. Everybody knows quarterback's the most important position in all of sports. And you have to have a great quarterback. Well, when you have somebody like Justin Herbert, you need to make every moment of their prime count. heading into this 5-year contract here. Harbaugh's got a 5-year contract as well. We know what he did with Stanford with helping to mold Andrew Luck. The Niners were bottom feeders. He goes there. He had Alex Smith, and then he went out and got Colin Kaepernick. Luck was a generational talent. Colin Kaepernick proved to be a very dangerous offensive weapon. And then J.J. McCarthy at Michigan is probably going to be a first-round draft pick. Jim has had his hands on those players, his fingerprints there, and I would assume that you would expect Justin Herbert to take that next step. Also, I'm wondering about Michigan as they move forward in the NCAA investigation. Because Jim leaves, the investigation doesn't leave because Jim is moving on, but he is not compelled to talk to the NCAA. Connor Stallions is gone. I don't know if he's joining Jim on the Chargers staff, but he doesn't have to talk to the NCAA. So it makes it interesting moving forward what this does with the NCAA investigation. I don't know if the NCAA investigation goes, all right, Jim's gone, now what? Are you still going to investigate Michigan? And I'm going to guess Big Ten athletic directors and coaches aren't going to allow them to move on as well. But I'd be curious what happens here. And it's probably going to be 2 years. But we might show up one day and be talking about Michigan's penalties. Now, Jim Harbaugh was reportedly negotiating, to get language in his contract changed to protect him if something happened, that he couldn't be fired if the NCAA came in and found him guilty and they were going to have imposed sanctions on the school. That he couldn't be held accountable for that or lose his job. Because now, performance-based, he could, but they were signing him to a 5-year deal that was over $11 million a year. I don't know what he's going to get for the Chargers. Feels like he's going to be able to pick his own general manager, which I think is interesting. I wonder if he takes anybody from his brother's staff in Baltimore. But I think Jim Harbaugh got everything that he wanted. And I think it took everything that he wanted to leave Michigan at this time. All right, poll question, Seton. What are you going to go with? And then we'll play a portion of the Philadelphia Eagles' disastrous press conference.
What is more likely to happen in the next 5 years? This is a Paulie special. He's very proud of this. It's a good poll question. What is more likely to happen in the next 5 years? The LA Chargers win a title. The Michigan Wolverines are stripped of a title. Dun, dun, dun.
I'm going to be positive today.
Michigan?
Yes. No, come on. I'm going to...
Why did he hate this?
I'm going to say the Chargers win a title.
All right, let's go, Chargers.
Yeah, I'm going to say they win a title.
That's not an easy situation that coach is walking into there.
At Michigan?
With the Chargers.
Oh. Well, bar is low.
The bar is very low for a team that has very high expectations.
Well, I think we've tempered those expectations a little bit because they were generic offensively and defensively, which you would think you'd be good at one thing, and they weren't. I don't think they were in the top 15 in offense or defense. And that's having some marquee players on defense, and that's having Justin Herbert. And they have the 5th pick in the draft, and I think Mel Kiper had them taking Brock Bowers at Georgia Tech, who's sort of that hybrid wide receiver tight end. But, yeah, I would say Michigan. No, I'm going to say Chargers winning a national title. Because I don't know if the NCAA can get it to
Super Bowl.
get. Yes. I don't know if the NCAA can get their act together and figure all this stuff out and do something as drastic as having the school vacate a title. Yeah. Maybe the old NCAA could, but not this one.
Yeah, Rob.
Those guys are just sitting around going, wait, what's... Oh, God. Who sent... Yahoo Sports sent this in? Can't Dan Wetzel take some time? All right, we got to investigate this. Here we go. Yes, Tom.
Just thinking of a mock headline for Jim Harbaugh going to the Chargers. That just struck
Okay.
me. Because he's a little odd, a little wacky.
Okay.
You can call him a little crazy.
Do you have one?
How about nuts and bolts?
Some bolts. Okay.
Yeah, nailed it.
Kind of like it.
Nailed it.
Let's get the T-shirts printed.
Nuts and bolts.
Nuts and bolts.
All right, let's go.
Not to be confused with plums. It's just Jim crazy.
Nuts and bolts.
Nuts and bolts. Doug in North Carolina leads us off. Good morning, Doug. What's on your mind?
Well, Dan, I had dinner with a good friend of mine yesterday, and the highlight of the evening is we entertained ourselves by playing a game that you guys have made famous, and I want to share it with you now. He asked me, he knows I'm a Lions fan, he said, who would you rather have, the Chiefs or the Ravens in the Super Bowl if you get that far? I said the Chiefs, and then we started to debate, whose career would you rather have? Chiefs fan Taylor Swift or Detroit fan Eminem?
Okay. All right. Thank you, Doug. Well, how much fame do you want? Because Taylor Swift has more fame than anybody in the world right now. Eminem, you know, he could probably socialize a little bit, come and go. I'm sure he's still very private. But he might be able to go to a restaurant. If Taylor Swift goes, it's like Lionel Messi going to a restaurant. Well, maybe it's not even that. Messi would probably bring more fans out. Would I rather have had a really good career, a great career, and maybe not as much now, where you can have some normalcy? She's at the peak of, I mean, this is crazy. I mean, I guess Michael Jackson or Madonna, you know, there's a few artists that had this, but I guess I'd rather be Eminem, where I did it kind of like me at SportsCenter. You know, I did it, and now I'm doing something on my own, a little different. Not as much fanfare, you know, not as, you know, big of a stage as it was at SportsCenter. Because when they're looking at everything you do, and when you go to Starbucks, and when you go to get groceries, and what groceries you buy, and what's your hair look like, I mean, all of those things. That's where Taylor Swift is, and I couldn't imagine that, wanting that. Yeah, Paul.
What do you think? I think it'd be fair to say that Madonna was similar fame level when she was 25, 30 that Taylor Swift is now. That's fair, right? Worldwide. And then she kind of receded into the background the past 15, 20 years. Whether by choice or not, I don't know. But would Taylor Swift be the kind of person that 15 years from now, like, hey, what's she up to? It's hard to picture. She seems like a corporation. She doesn't seem like a person.
I remember being in New York, and I was working for CNN, and we were right across the street from the Garden. Our offices were right across the street from the Garden. Madonna was going to play the Garden that night. The number of girls who were dressed like Madonna on the streets 6 hours prior to that. So it was crazy. And that's, you know, probably mid-'80s that happened. And so she had that. It doesn't mean that she still doesn't want to be relevant. She just hasn't been. I mean, she does concerts, but I don't know if she's written any really good music. Taylor Swift is going to write music the rest of her life. And the question is she going to, you know, maintain that fan base? Are they going to grow older with her? What happens in her personal life? Does she have kids? You know, I guess you could factor in it. I'm giving way too much thought to this. But Doug, thank you for that possibility. Here, I'm breaking down Taylor Swift like it's the Chiefs secondary. Yes, Mark.
But I think that's the case for every single artist. Everybody's going to get old, and they won't be as hot as they were at 25, right? So if you go to a Rolling Stones concert,
start me up.
25-year-olds aren't going to be there.
Okay.
It's going to be people your age.
McCartney hasn't cooled off. Springsteen hasn't cooled off. Well, I mean, as a solo artist. But the Beatles, I mean, that was crazy. But McCartney still, when McCartney says something or he performs, it's a big deal. Springsteen still demands attention there. How many artists, as they get older, maintain or they supersede that, packing arenas? I mean, Springsteen still packs arena. McCartney still does. Yes, Paul.
It does seem like Bruce Springsteen has never taken a break. In the 80s, I would say 70s, 80s, he was the guy, like 80,000 seats, no problem. But I don't remember him in the 90s and 2000s ever just stopping touring for like a decade. I don't think he's ever stopped.
Well,
maybe.
I think he went solo, then he brought back the E Street Band, but I mean, he's still. It feels like it's a continuous tour for him. Yes, Mark.
I think Eminem's kind of in that same category because if he says he's going on tour now, the kids that loved him in 2001 are now adults. Okay, I haven't seen Eminem perform in 15 years. Yeah, I'll go see him because he does it so rarely and he had such a peak of popularity.
Seton?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Madonna is 65, and she can still sell out Madison Square Garden doing dance music.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So I think that her legacy is still pretty strong. If Taylor Swift 30 years from now is still doing that, that's a hell of an accomplishment. But I don't. Eventually, she is going to tail off. She's not going to continue producing super album after super album after super album. She is going to tail off.
Yes.
It's going to stop.
Yes, Tom.
Can or does Billy Joel still pack the house? Or is that just more of a Madison Square Garden thing?
I knew you were going to bring
But
up
nationwide,
Haulin Oates, Billy Joel.
Would arenas fill up nationwide for Billy Joel, or is that more of a Northeastern thing, like a New York thing?
I think it's Madison Square Garden, which is still amazing. That he's
like 10 nights in a row or whatever, 20 nights
like
in a row,
record,
whatever he
right,
does.
for performance.
Yeah. I don't know I think he's performing at the Oscars, but I don't know if Billy Joel goes to Spokane that he sells out. Yes, Paul.
Billy Joel hasn't released a new album in more than 30 years. Like, unlike the Rolling Stones, which, everyone wants to hear the old stuff, but they still, every decade, it pops something new out. Billy Joel said, I'm good. I'm done recording.
I think Billy Joel has a new song out. Maybe a new album out for some reason.
30 years in the making.
But, Jimmy Buffett didn't have to make any more music. Like, you get a catalog. If I get 25 songs, that's all you need. Just, you're showing up to see the hits, hear the hits. You don't need to. Whenever, I went to see Hall & Oates, and they go, oh, we got some new music. I'm like, I'm going to go get a beer. Yeah, Seton.
Taylor Swift is 34 and just did an Eras tour where she can go back through her many different eras. How long can she keep that up?
She's amazing.
Forever.
And ever.
All right, I'm going to interrupt here. We have breaking news to get to here on NFL Live. We go right to Adam Schefter with another coach hire. Go ahead, Adam.
Well, Laura, the Atlanta Falcons are planning to hire Raheem Morris, who is the interim head coach in Atlanta. He's the Rams' defensive coordinator, but they are moving forward in that direction. We get another hire from the NFC South with Raheem Morris getting that job in Atlanta. Again, a lot of qualified candidates. They spent today meeting with Bobby Slowick, the Texas offensive coordinator. They had Mike Vrabel in the building yesterday, but today they are moving forward with Raheem Morris as the hire in Atlanta as their head coach. And now, again, I wanted to lay this out for everybody because there are two hires left. Washington, Seattle. Mike Vrabel doesn't appear to be in play there. Bill Belichick doesn't appear to be in play there. Wow. Pete Carroll doesn't appear to be in play there. So there are some big names here that are left on the dance floor as of right now with this particular move. And it's a situation where the Falcons are going back to somebody they know well, somebody who's been in the organization. Raheem Morris is now in line to become the next head coach of the Atlanta Falcons.
I got to say, someone who grew up in Atlanta, Falcons fan, I love this. This is great. RC, I think you love it too. Tell us your thoughts on Raheem Morris, expected to be hired as the Falcons head coach.
Listen, I am fired up. Raheem Morris was my last defensive back coach. He's just an awesome man, but an amazing X and O coach, understands how to relate with players, and he's been there before. When Dan Quinn was fired, he had an opportunity to coach there. He was the guy that coached both offense and defense in Atlanta. We watched him move to Los Angeles and with the Rams, win a Super Bowl. Bobby Wagner, who will be on the pivot tomorrow, when asked who he wanted to be Seattle's next head coach, actually mentioned the name Raheem Morris. And so I think this is a slam dunk for the Atlanta Falcons. And many people don't remember this, but as an extremely young coach, Raheem Morris was the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I believe that not going well for him when they tore down the entire team has been something that has been held against him. And to have this opportunity in Atlanta, now it's time to go out and get him a quarterback, and I think he's going to be extremely successful and a perfect fit for the city and the team.
Yeah, absolutely love this hire. We call it Monday Night Football, and the Rams are one of our games this year. And Raheem is one of those guys, when you sit down with him, you go, you're a head coach.
Yes.
Just when you talk with him,
Presence.
the way that his energy, his presence, the way that he communicates, I think the joy that he has about ball. Like when we sat and talked with him, that was a big takeaway. It's like, oh my gosh, this dude loves being in it with his players. And I think that is going to be something that is huge for Atlanta. The second thing I'd say is this. Les Snead, who's the general manager of the Los Angeles Rams, hired Sean McVay. How's that worked out? He was very passionate about the opportunity that he wanted for Raheem Morris to be a head coach. This guy, he doesn't say stuff just to say it, Les Snead. So this is a guy that knows, if I do this, I'm going to risk losing my defensive coordinator. But he is that good of a coach and deserves that much of this opportunity that I'm going to do it. I think that spoke volumes about Raheem as a man. I also think it spoke volumes about him as a potential and obviously now head coach.
Yeah, well, if you're familiar with football circles like we are, we know how well respected Raheem is. But to that point, man, I can't help but think about what are you going to do offensively at the quarterback position, because the success is directly tied to how that guy plays and what position will they be in order to get a quarterback. I know Justin Fields' name has been thrown around. What will the Atlanta Falcons do front office-wise with Terry Fontenot and Raheem Morris coming together along with Arthur Blank and trying to figure out who's going to quarterback this team? Look, for as phenomenal as DeMeco Ryans was in Houston, for as good as Dan Campbell has been in Detroit, those guys, signal callers, played at very high levels this year. So we know that that's a direct correlation to the success that you will have as a head coach. There is no doubt Raheem will be ready for this job, understands what it takes to be a head coach. Now it's time to get to work and figuring out who's going to be his signal caller.
Because when me and Raheem talked yesterday, he told me, he was like, yeah, promote other people like Jim Harbaugh for those other jobs so Atlanta could come get me. So I'm just so freaking happy that he got the job.
It worked. Hey, you know what? I'm happy.
That house gonna be so
RC.
Nice out there.
Thank you for that.
Oh my God.
Hey, now listen, I want to put the list back up of the available jobs, because now there's only 2 left in Washington and the Seahawks, as you see down at the bottom of that list. Raheem Morris, the latest head coach hire, as he will now be expected. Excuse me, I should clarify. He is expected, according to Adam Schefter, the breaking news here, to be hired by the Falcons. So, Adam, I want to go back to you because you alluded to this a little bit. There's some big names still out there that don't have a position yet, as we know. What do you expect the Commanders and Seahawks to do?
Well, let me start here for a moment, Laura, if you don't mind. Bill Belichick, who's the biggest name out there, the greatest coach of all time, interviewed twice for the Atlanta Falcons job and now is going to Raheem Morris. Bill Belichick did not get called to Seattle. He did not, as of date, get called to Washington. Could he still enter into those conversations? Conceivably, yes. We're well on into these coaching searches, and to my knowledge, neither team has called so far. So that seemingly would indicate that this coaching cycle, as it currently is constituted, will fill up without Bill Belichick getting a head coach. Raheem Morris gets the Atlanta job. That was the job that Bill Belichick was in play for there down in Atlanta. And my understanding is that the Falcons owner, Arthur Blank, really liked Bill Belichick and would have supported that hiring. But it's beyond just one man. This is a collaborative hiring effort. And there are a lot of people in that building that supported Raheem Morris. He met with the Falcons on Tuesday night at Arthur Blank's house, had a tremendous meeting there. The Rams were fully backing Raheem Morris because they truly believed that his time had come. They went out of their way, publicly and privately, to point out to everybody that Raheem Morris was long overdue for a head coaching job. And I believe the Rams' words resonated with people across the league. And Raheem Morris deserves what he gets, but he also had the full support of that organization going to bat for him repeatedly, and they all made it possible. What Raheem did, and what the Rams said. And together, in the end, he gets this job that really, when you think back to the time that he coached in Tampa, there were people at that time that said Raheem Morris was ready to be a head coach, but that maybe it was just a little bit early. He got the job, it didn't work out, and now he's had to wait all this time to get another head coaching job that many people believe was long overdue.
Yeah, that's really important context, Adam, and thanks for sharing it. When you think about some of the connectivity in the NFL and how some of these teams can help support their own coaches to go somewhere else. Dan, just quickly before we go, your thoughts on Bill Belichick maybe being left out of this coaching hiring cycle?
Yeah, I guess I'm surprised that all these teams that needed a head coach potentially are passing on him. I do know this. If you don't have a good plan with player selection and offensive coordinator, it's tough to get a job in this league right now. So I guess in that regard, there's merit to that.
For breaking news in the NFL, Raheem Morris will be the next head coach of the Falcons, according to Adam Schefter. The news comes after a thorough interview process by the team where they interviewed 14 candidates, including Bill Belichick and Mike Vrabel. Morris was the Rams' defensive coordinator on Sean McVay's staff. He's coming back to a familiar place. He was in the Falcons staff from 2015 to 2020. He was the interim head coach for 11 games in 2020 after the firing of Dan Quinn, in addition to his stops in Atlanta and LA. Morris was also head coach of the Buccaneers for 3 seasons from 2009 to 2011 after 2 stints as an assistant there and a secondary coach in Washington for 3 seasons before first joining Atlanta in 2015. Senior NFL insider Adam Schefter broke this story, and he joins us now with much more. Shefty, so again, this interview process for the Falcons, thorough. They interviewed Bill Belichick and Mike Vrabel among the 14. Why did they ultimately land on Raheem Morris?
Really, if you talk to the Los Angeles Rams, where he's coached recently, they believe that this was long overdue, that Raheem Morris has learned his lessons, that he's essentially grown into the head coach that the Falcons believe he's going to be. They met with him on Tuesday night at Arthur Blank's home, the second interview, and he continued to impress him. It wasn't like they didn't know him, Kevin. He was the interim head coach of that franchise. But since he was the head coach in the NFC South with the Buccaneers, and since he was the head coach, interim head coach in Atlanta in 2020, Raheem Morris has continued to grow, improve, and refine his ways as a head coach. And every year, he's been a candidate, but he's never gotten serious consideration. I think the Rams really were pushing him. I think the league office wanted to see Raheem Morris get a job, and I think he ultimately deserved to get one a long time ago, but it didn't come together until just now, where he beat out a number of high-profile coaching candidates to go back to Atlanta, an organization he knows well, and take over as the Falcons head coach.
Handful of reaction from NFL players, including Jalen Ramsey, who played under Morris in LA. He's now with the Dolphins, saying Falcons got one of, if not the best coach in the NFL for real. Now, I mentioned Belichick. I mentioned Vrabel. Pete Carroll also finds himself without a job, and there are 2 remaining vacancies in Seattle and Washington. What can you share with us about the prospects, their prospects, these 3 big names in this coaching cycle?
My understanding is that Seattle and Washington want to wait until after this weekend's conference championship games, when they're looking at any number of the coaches involved in these particular games, including the Lions offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, the Ravens defensive coordinator, Mike McDonald, Aaron Glenn, the Lions defensive coordinator. There are some high-profile coaches in these conference championship games that merit consideration. Both organizations are planning to wait, and that leaves coaches like Mike Vrabel and Bill Belichick on the sidelines right now. Now, keep in mind, when we talk about Bill Belichick, the biggest name out there right now, along with Pete Carroll and Mike Vrabel, Bill Belichick interviewed twice in Atlanta. That was the place that he had a chance to land a head coaching job. And again, my understanding is that Arthur Blank, the Falcons owner, supported Bill Belichick, but ultimately it's a collaborative process, and in the end, the organization decided to go with Raheem Morris. That means that Bill Belichick right now is on the sideline, and unless all of a sudden Seattle or Washington jump in and begin to interview him, it looks like Bill Belichick will not land one of these jobs in this particular head coaching cycle, and we have some high-profile names that will be on the sideline as some of these jobs have been filled by some people that essentially weren't expected to land some of these jobs.
All right, with much more on this, Dan Orlovsky joins us. I'm stunned that Bill Belichick's still in the open market. And a handful of jobs have been filled here. What's your reaction? What does it tell you that Bill is still available as a head coach?
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's really from the starting point, the two big questions surrounding Coach Belichick were, how much power were you actually willing to relinquish when it comes to picking players and putting it together the roster and having final say? And then if you were the team, Atlanta, that sat down and interviewed them, how much were you willing to give up? You know, and was there ever the ability to get to a middle ground? And Kev, I've been saying this for weeks. Who are you bringing with you on your offensive staff? We know you can still coach defensive football, but who is going to be your offensive coordinator? And because of the lack of offensive performance that has happened really over the better course of the last 6 years in New England, you're sitting there going, okay, is it just Josh McDaniels, who was his longtime offensive coordinator? Bill O'Brien obviously went back to college at Ohio State. So maybe he doesn't have the person that the organization was comfortable with, because Atlanta is going to have to go make a move at quarterback for a young player. Maybe they weren't happy with that potential person stewarding that young quarterback's development.
Solving the quarterback riddle, that has been the key for, of course, Belichick since Tom Brady went to Tampa. Meanwhile, Raheem Morris, a defensive guy, gets a second chance. Well-deserved, of course, because he was a coach, young coach with the Bucs, and that didn't turn out really well. He gets another opportunity. What do you think, or what do you think about this fit here, specifically in Atlanta?
Yeah, I love it. Real quick story. So Louis Riddick and I with Fowler and Rutledge called Monday Night Football. We called the game versus the Rams, the Rams and the Bengals. And just when you sat with Raheem Morris, I remember very quickly, I was like, yo, he's awesome. Yeah. This guy is great. He should be a head coach at some point again in the NFL. The joy that he had about not only football, but the development of the young players, the passion that he had, the excitement that he had. He had a lot of that energy that you look for in a head coach. So I love that. Defensive-minded head coach. He's been in that division. We know that division, although won by Tampa Bay this year, it doesn't have like a necessarily top-heavy team. And I think there's a lot of pieces in Atlanta that are really good. I love the fact that he came and learned under Sean McVay, that he learned not only that leadership role under Sean, but also watch Sean call plays. And so I would think that he will want to bring an offense with him that comes from that McShanahan tree, the McVay-Shanahan tree. Yeah. And then also, who's going to be their quarterback? And I do not think that they are going to stand pat in Atlanta and just get someone.
You can't.
I think this is the year that Atlanta goes, we are going to jump in whatever it takes to go get a real player at that spot.
They have a top 10 pick, and by the way, Morris was a guy who was an assistant coach on that staff for 5 years in Atlanta. He knows the inner workings of that system as well as Arthur Blank. So good for him. Dan, much more from him coming up as SportsCenter continues this hour.
First and foremost, I think everyone across the National Football League is happy that Raheem Morris is getting this opportunity. He's an extremely popular person who, as you point out, was a coach at one time in the NFL, has paid his dues, whatever term you want to use. I believe you hired him originally in New York, didn't you?
Yeah, he was a coaching intern from Hofstra, and he's one of these guys where he's impossible not to like. He just brings in energy. He smiles easily. Graz made a good point. Like, feels like 150 years ago, he was a head coach of Tampa Bay with Mark Dominic. They were like 32 and 33. I like the fact that he sort of like went to the other side of the ball, helped clock management with Dan Quinn. So he's checked the boxes to get back to where he deserves.
Exactly. And to the point that I think Graziano was trying to make, and again, it all was a little bit rushed because of, just timing beyond our control. Yeah, it's Medvedev's fault. Right. But the point of the matter is, look, we sit here so often, people sit and complain about how the league just keeps recycling old white guys as their coaches. Well, now they're doing the opposite of that, and so all of that should be celebrated. Yes. However, when Bill Belichick wants a job and can't get one, it is extremely noteworthy. This is a man who has head coached teams to 9 Super Bowls in his career. He is a handful of games away from being the winningest coach in the history of the National Football League. So I'm not suggesting that there are no reasons. Obviously, there are reasons. But it is most certainly noteworthy, Dan, that if Bill Belichick wants to be a coach, there are 32 teams in theory that could hire him, and all of them are choosing not to.
Correct, and I think it's significant. We can talk about the reasons why, and we can make them make sense on a number of levels, but it's significant because it indicates a change. It indicates, I mean, look, the Seattle Seahawks surprised everybody with the Pete Carroll move, right? But like at this point, they're trying to go get something new, right? Pete Carroll's in his 70s, Bill Belichick's in his 70s. Like you're trying to. When you're hiring a coach, you're ideally thinking, and Mike T, correct me if I'm wrong, and I know it doesn't work out this way, but you're thinking about, like, I want this guy to be here 10, 15 years 100%. In a perfect world, right? So a 72-year-old's not going to be there 10, 15 years, right? Like, and so I think this is, I think the story of this week in the NFL is fresh faces, new faces, and teams thinking about what can be as opposed to what was.
All right, so Shefty, I don't feel like you got the chance. The reason I wanted to come back to this, I don't feel like you got the chance to say all the things that you have going on. So go, Shefty. What do we need? Fill in all of the blanks for us here.
Well, I think there's so much going on here right now, and it's happening so fast because I think the league has wanted teams to wait until after the conference championship games this weekend before they wrap up their interviews and hire coaches. And this is the slowest hiring cycle that we've ever watched, and it's that way on purpose because that's the way the league has wanted it. They've changed the rules to where you can't interview coaches under contract face-to-face until after this past week in the divisional playoff round. So you were seeing a slew of face-to-face interviews this past week, and this is a process that really started Sunday night, January 7th, when the Falcons fired Arthur Smith. We are now January 26th, almost 3 weeks in, whereas in the past, when guys like Mike Tannenbaum were running the Dolphins, they had a head coach within 4, 5, 6 days after the season ended. The league has slowed this down and drawn it out dramatically, and yet we still see a slew of changes to the point where in the NFC South, Todd Bowles is now the most tenured coach in that division. If Andy Reid were to walk away at the end of this season, and that's floating out there, we'll see whether that happens. If he were, Sean Payton would be the most tenured coach in the AFC West division. And that just shows you how much change there is going on and how much impatience there is with teams. And yet, now, even with all this change, and there have been 8 so far this year, 6 openings filled, to your point, Greeny, the greatest coach who ever did it is on the sidelines. And you have to wonder, okay, well, he's not getting one now, it looks like. Who's going to give him one next year? He's going to hang over everything, but at the same time, he's another year older. So does somebody give him the chance? What does Bill Belichick do to keep himself involved, fresh, on top of the game so that he's still relevant and still hireable, which is laughable, to next year? And again, I want to go back to that point because one head coach called me last night, and he's like, what universe are we living in that Bill Belichick doesn't get a head coach? What team owner doesn't bring on Bill Belichick, even in collaboration with another coach? Go hire Dave Canales and bring in Bill Belichick with him and have Dave Canales be the coach in training, learning from the greatest who ever did it. Not
Just because he's the greatest ever did it don't mean, listen, I say it all the time, either die the hero or stay long enough to yourself to become a villain. And like, he casts a big shadow. And if I'm a coach or an incoming coach, why would I want to have Bill Belichick hovering over me, trying to mold me and tell me to do it his way? Like, we've seen this before. Chuck Noll was a great coach. The league moved on. Like, the same way we said about players, the same thing we said about coaches. You know, when I first got in the league, the cycle was Denny Green, it was Bill Cowher, it was Brian Billick, my coach, and the league eventually moved on. So I'm happy to see that new blood is getting into the cycle. And Bill Belichick, if he wants to, he's got to reinvent himself. The genius about Nick Saban and why I think he was always able to be successful, because he always surrounded himself with young, exciting coordinators that came in, that kept him relevant, kept him young. Bill Belichick kept the usual suspects around him, and the game passed him by a little bit.
All right, there are 4 teams trying to win the Super Bowl. The other 28 are into their offseason. The coaching carousel has been spinning, and yesterday it stopped in Atlanta. Congratulations to Raheem Morris, who gets that job. He's someone a lot of people around the NFL have been rooting for to get another opportunity, and he does get that chance now in Atlanta. This is a spot that so many people thought was going to be the one where Bill Belichick landed. But as you look at the vacancies that existed, there were 8 of them at one time. There are 2 that remain. And as you see, Bill Belichick is not in any of those spots and does not appear as though he's going to get any of the other 2. Ryan Clark, you called this shot 2 weeks ago on this show. You said, while everyone else is saying, oh, teams are going to be firing coaches to go and bring in Bill Belichick. Oh! Here are all these teams that have made the decision not to, including the one that, for whatever reason, everyone had put together to begin with it.
Well, the conversation started by people saying that you were going to fire playoff head coaches because Bill Belichick was available. And I said, well, why would you do that? Why would you fire a coach who is young, who has galvanized your locker room enough to get them in the playoffs? And it was because he's Bill Belichick. And my thought was, that's the reason you wouldn't rush to hire him, that the game has changed, that his 4 years without Tom Brady weren't the stellar years that we'd seen before. And that it struck me watching Bill Belichick's introductory press conference and then what he became, right? The more he won, the entitlement in the way that he dealt with the media also became an entitlement of the way I ran things around the building. When you'd see people who talked about the Patriot way, loving the discipline, loving the education, loving the preparation, but also saying, you know, there were times I didn't want to pick my head up in the hallway. Right? When I'm playing for Dick LeBeau, who every April comes into the building during OTAs and thanks us for allowing him to coach us. Right? And so now as we see the new NIL kid grow, when we see some of the entitlement of these young men, some of the ways that they want to be related to, some of the branding that they want to be a part of, that's passed Bill Belichick by, not the X's and O's. And so much was said that Bill Belichick would be interviewing teams. If you walk into a building thinking that you're interviewing teams full of rooms that are filled with alpha males, they're going to feel a certain way about that. And so I do think that Bill Belichick lost this job. I do believe that Arthur Blank wanted him to be the head coach. I do believe when you look at the resume of the 6 championships, it's enticing. Yeah. But when you sit across from a man and you don't have that feeling that he's the right man to lead this locker room, you have to make a different decision. And the Falcons were brave enough to do that.
And it was a tough decision, but at this point, I believe that Bill Belichick is a finisher. He's not a program builder. He's not a roster developer. Like, he's not a guy that's going to come in and turn your program around. He's a guy that needs a finished product. I said that earlier, like John Gruden. Like, you have a team that can't get over the hump, they plateaued, then he's a guy that can come in and get you over the hump. But he's not a guy that's going to come in, hire coaches, change the culture. That's a lot to do unless, you know, for a 71-year-old man that you think it's going to take a couple of years. Just look at what happened in Detroit. Not saying that it's any teams that is dire than when Dan Campbell got the job. But, you know, he had to be somewhere like maybe if John McDermott would have got let go, or if, you know, you think Sirianni would have got let go. He needed a team like that, and maybe that team still exists, but just not this year. So he has to go away like Mike McCarthy did, self-evaluate, figure out about who he's going to put on his staff, because the other thing that's a deterrent for Bill Belichick is I don't want Josh McDaniels to be my future coach, to heir apparent. I don't want Matt Patricia. So who's he going to bring in? And they're always paired to Bill Belichick. So if he had some young, like, innovative, say if he had Lincoln Riley or something, like let's just say, or a Lincoln Riley type that we don't know about, like, well, when he leaves, you know, this is the guy that's going to lead us in the future, right? You talk about developing a young quarterback and saying Bill Belichick just failed miserably with Mac Jones. Mac Jones is broken. Like, he was better his first year, right? He was better his first year than he was his last year, right? And it got worse in some of the decisions that Bill made, like making Matt Patricia the offensive coordinator. Yeah. You have to question some of the decisions that he's made since Tom Brady has left.
Yeah, and that's the part that really inspires me. Like, when you look at our profession, you know, that's a great example of Mike McCarthy. Dan Quinn moved to Hawaii, changed his defense. We got fired from Atlanta. Obviously, has had success in Dallas. And knowing Coach Belichick, I think after he gets through the emotion of what happened, because Tarsi's point, I think everyone, including him, expected, like, okay, like, I'm going to be able to pick Atlanta or Washington. That didn't happen. I think he's going to do exactly that, Greeny. I think he's going to take a half a step back and say, I need to build an offense for 2025 that's going to be indefensible, the way Nick Saban evolved. And I think that's the interesting part of the story. And I think when you talk about where can he go close, that they're not looking for a 10-year place, Dallas goes to the top of that list. Philadelphia goes to the top of that list.
Buffalo.
And as Buffalo, and as Adam Schefter said earlier, guys, like,
in the fall, anytime like a team goes on a 3-game losing streak, Brian Daboll, all these guys, they're going to have to answer the question about.
That's because we're stupid, right? That's why. And we were stupid when Bill Belichick agreed to mutually part ways from New England, because we feed those stories, not the true people who are making the decisions, which is who I was thinking about when we were having this conversation 2 weeks ago. We look at Bill Belichick because legacy is our thing, right? The resume is our thing. History is his thing, not mine. He's way smarter than me. And so when you look at Bill Belichick, we were looking at all those things. Because you are the greatest coach of all time does not mean you're the best coach right now.
He's Joe Flacco, former Super Bowl MVP. You won a Corvette, didn't you? They gave you a Corvette when you won the MVP?
They did. They were still giving away cars. I'm not sure if they're doing that, but yeah.
Where is that Corvette?
Man, it's in an old garage, not on the road. It's not street legal right now. I don't have it registered, but it's in an old garage in the house my brother's living in right now.
Wait, it's not legal? It's not street legal? What are we doing?
It's street legal. I just don't have it registered. It's probably the tires are probably dry rot. It's probably not in the best shape, to be honest with you.
Does it say MVP? Anything that
Yeah, you know what? There's like a little thing inside of the car, and where it has the VIN number, it says Joe Flacco Super Bowl MVP.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right, clear up something. What were you doing before the Browns called you? Were you doing what you're doing right now, sitting on the couch?
Yeah, I mean, there was a little bit of that. I guess that's what everybody likes to say. But it was like an extended off season, with hope that it was an extended off season, like with hope that there was going to be a signing at some point. But you just don't know if that's the case.
But were you getting calls or making calls?
No, neither. And there was probably a point in the off season where my agent was making calls and hoping to get calls, but at a certain point, neither of those things were happening.
But when Aaron Rodgers goes down, nothing.
Yeah, I mean, maybe my agent had some conversations, but not anything significant. It wasn't like we were, like I said, it wasn't. I'm sure he reached out to teams throughout the course of the season, but it wasn't like. I feel like when teams want you, they're probably going to reach out to you, and obviously you want to do a little bit of digging so that you make sure you're giving yourself the best chance, but it's ultimately not up to you.
What's the first thing to go on a quarterback?
Oh, man. I think quarterback's one of those unique positions. I've talked about it a lot recently because it is so oriented around processing things quickly and stuff like that, depending on your style of play, obviously, you can continue to kind of get better as you age. Obviously, there's a point in your career where you're the most explosive you're probably going to be and the most athletic you're probably going to be. But the bottom line is we don't play at an age where that really gets too crazy, and on the downside.
But you're not losing arm strength. Your arm strength is the same as it's been.
Yeah. Listen, I think there was a point in my career where, when I was younger, like even coming out in college and coming out of college, where you're actively like, you're proud of the fact that you can throw the ball far, but that's not really what makes a quarterback anyway. Even if you can throw the ball 90 yards, like the most you throw the ball in a game is 55 yards, 50, maybe 60 yards on an off chance one game. I can't even imagine that I've done that very many times in my career. It's more about being able to control the ball and be accurate within that 30-yard, 25, 30-yard range. So I think the guys that honestly, I think most guys that are in the NFL level have a sense of just naturally being able to be good throwers. And I think that requires using your whole body to do that, so your arm really doesn't take that much of a hit. And I think, no, I don't think arm strength. I mean, I think most of the guys that have played pretty long, I mean, you can look at their arms. I mean, I think in some ways they get stronger from the time they're 22, 23 years old because as you get close to 30, you get stronger. And I think you're able to keep that pretty easily.
Take me back to April of 2012. New York Times article where you said that you were the best quarterback in the NFL.
You know what? I'm trying to remember exactly. I feel like that was on a radio show in Baltimore or something like that, where it was like,
okay,
I was directly asked the question, and it was funny because I was just talking to somebody about this the other day. Like, of course I am. I do I do that with my kids. Just like it's like I was talking to somebody recently. I ask my kids all the time, and who's the best. And if you're not going to believe it, then nobody's going to believe it. And it's not about just saying it. That's part of it, but it's about being put in situations where you have to overcome things and you start to actually believe it, and you believe it for good reason. So I was using it in that context. Like, I think it's important that your kids have that belief, but it's important to put them in situations where they have to overcome difficult things so that they have reason to actually believe it.
Do you think you're better than Brady and Peyton Manning right now?
Listen, man, those guys, come on. Look at what
but right now, you're a better quarterback than Peyton Manning is.
Listen,
I don't know
Dan,
about Brady.
I love this conversation, but and in a private room, it would be a fun conversation to have. I love having the conversation with those guys. I'm not getting goaded into saying anything crazy.
Wait,
those guys
goat?
are
Did you just say
incredible.
goat? You were goat?
Yeah.
Whoa! You just Joe Flacco called himself the goat.
It's funny,
goated in. Okay.
I could have never imagined. I don't think any of us could have how long those guys were going to be in the league. I mean, obviously, especially how long Tom was going to be in the league, and I felt like there were some games there where we played in playoffs against him, and it was like, okay, he's probably got another year or two left, but he just set the standard. He set the standard in so many different ways, and not that standard's ever going to be reached by anybody else. It's very hard to wrap your head around a lot of the things that he did, and like I said, especially if there is some off chance that somebody comes and is able to do anything close to what he's done, I give him a lot of credit. A ton of credit, obviously, but to be the first to do so many different things and to kind of like not really care about what other people think and what's supposed to happen and go out there and continue to do the things he did is just so incredible. I mean, I think he is a guy, like, you talk about arm strength and staying in shape. I think he's a guy that, like, you look at him and like he's in better shape at the end of his career and stronger physically. Like, his arm got somewhere in probably 5-6 years in the league, I don't know if his arm actually did get stronger, but it looked like it did. Like, he just did so many incredible things.
We're talking to Joe Flacco. What's your status now? Do you know where you're playing, if you're playing next year?
I don't. I mean, you know that. I don't know that. Listen, it's a typical offseason. I'm trying to get myself back into it, and I feel so fortunate to have been able to play for 2 months, as opposed to sitting here right now and getting back into the swing of things in the off season, and kind of looking back at this season like, man, I guess I'm done. Nobody gave me a call. And now to have that feeling like, okay, I was able to go out there and play, and I think I was able to show that I can still play. So now we'll see what happens this off season. So I'm excited about kind of the next couple months and what's going to happen.
But would you be satisfied being on a roster as opposed to being able to compete for the starting job?
Right. Listen, I think it's tough to talk about satisfied this and satisfied that. I think, there's part of you that's never really satisfied no matter what. If you're a starter, well, then you're not satisfied with, not winning every single game. And obviously, like, the last 3 years, I've been a backup, and obviously with aspirations to play at some point, and I've been able to play some games here and there. But listen, man, once you've played in this league, and once you've played just football in general, like, all of us want to play football. So you're never going to be satisfied with sitting around and working hard and not really ever getting an opportunity. So satisfied, yeah, you're definitely not going to be that. I think you have to find ways each day to kind of stay focused and get yourself through those time periods. But you're never going to be satisfied with not playing football. And that's not just me. That's everybody in the league. I mean, you look at everybody probably from the outside looks at backup quarterbacks and like, man, that's a pretty good job. You know, you get to make a couple $1 million a year and you get to sit on the bench and watch the guy go. It's not a good job, man. It sucks. It's miserable. You want to be playing. And not only that, like, you get nervous before a game, right? Like, when you play and you're the guy, well, you know you're the guy. And you go out there and you're nervous before the game, but then the ball snapped and you go out there and you have fun and you're just in the moment. When you're the backup, you're literally on the sideline every single play, like, still dealing with pregame jitter, pregame nerves, you know what I mean? And you just never get rid of them. And then it's just not, it's not fun. So, like, obviously not having to do that for most of my career, you get to look at that position in a little bit of a different way. And for those guys, the guys that you do look at the guys that come in mid-game or come in whenever they do, and you got to give them credit. It's not as easy of a job as you want to make it out. And you definitely, a part of that is the mental part where we all want to be out there playing.
Do you think you're better than Deshaun Watson?
Come on, man. What are you doing here? Listen, Deshaun, the thing about Deshaun is, you know, it'll be nice for him to be able to stay healthy for a full season and get that kind of, you know, get a solid foundation under his belt and things like that. I think we all have, you know, we've all been able to see what he can do when he's able to be in there for a full 16, 17 games. So,
by the way, Joe was named most handsome player in the NFL. That was Fanatics. Do you remember that? Did you get an award for that? But
no, thank God.
You were named the most attractive player in the NFL in January 2017, a survey by Fanatics. Man.
I was gonna say who did this? Who voted on this? It was my wife. That was it. She was the only person.
Would she have voted for you as most handsome? Though?
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. She probably wouldn't have.
Brady was still playing, and Garoppolo was in there. So
yeah.
Did you get an award from Fanatics for being the most attractive player in the NFL?
I didn't. I wish I got some free stuff for my kids or something, you know.
How important is it that your kids get to see Dad play?
I don't know if it's important, but man, it is special. It's you know, it's a unique situation. I remember like, I think Matt Stover was walking out of the locker room after games with like teenage kids. You know, it's just a unique experience, and you know, it's not something that I'd ever thought about doing. Like, you think about when you're a kid, you think about being an NFL quarterback or, you know, a Major League Baseball player. Like, you can put yourself in those situations and think about how cool they would be. But like having your kids watch you do it, that's not really a part of the dream and all that. So even when I started to have children, it wasn't like I was thinking about, oh man, it'd be cool to have these guys watch me play. But now when you're in it and you see how into it they are, and just they're at that age where like they know everything about, you know, professional sports, it's really cool.
What do you got, 4 or 5 kids?
5. Wow. Yeah. I think my daughter's pretty oblivious to what's going on, you know, besides wanting to run up and give me a hug, but, you know.
But she's aware of Taylor Swift and the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, she's becoming more and more aware of Taylor Swift. You know.
So she's a Mahomes fan.
Yeah. Listen, I think she's not quite there either, but she's getting there. Listen, you can have worse role models. I mean, I think she's done a pretty good job for all the young girls out there.
Absolutely. Well, good luck in the off season. Hopefully, you don't stay on the couch the entire time there, Joe.
You got it.
Thank you, bud.
All right, man.
That's Joe Flacco. He's a Super Bowl champ and won the MVP with the Ravens. In fact, defeating Jim Harbaugh's 49ers. Seton, what's the poll question we're going to play with today?
What do you think the poll question is today, Dan?
Guess that poll.
Guess that poll, a new game.
So that's the question. Or is it the question to get to the question?
The game is to you get to the question.
Oh, okay.
Next year, Bill Belichick will be ... Coaching.
Yeah. Well, There are only 2 more coaching vacancies right now.
All right. So option 2, coaching in the NFL.
Okay. The Panthers have hired the Bucs offensive coordinator, Dave Canales, and the Falcons hired Raheem Morris. So Canales, I think he was only interviewed by the Panthers, and he was the offensive coordinator, I think, for a year with Tampa. Now, he's had other jobs, but, Tampa, they played well with Baker Mayfield Jr. III. It always helps when you have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Just saying. The Falcons brought back Raheem Morris, who does have a history with the team. And that leads us to the Washington Commanders and the Seattle Seahawks. Anybody? Washington maybe waiting for an offensive coordinator? Still alive in the playoffs? And what about Seattle? Dan Quinn, not in the playoffs. Mike Vrabel, not in the playoffs. Anybody else out there might be a surprise pick. We could have an off season where Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll are not getting ready to coach an NFL season. And maybe Mike Vrabel. Who would have thought that? But, and let me start with the Panthers. Because we know David Tepper, he is a control freak. The owner of the Carolina Panthers. And so he brings in Dave Canales. Okay, this is somebody that you can sort of let him know, hey, I'm the owner here. You're the coach, in parentheses or quotations, but I'm the owner. And if you bring in a bigger personality, are you still going to, he may not know that he's still the problem, but you're going to bring in, and maybe Dave Canales is going to be great, offensive-minded, obviously, coordinator there, and you're going to help Bryce Young, and maybe brings in some weapons, all of those things. But that hire is still, it feels like you're repeating your mistakes again. There are a lot of good coaches out there, and I don't know if they offer the job to anybody else. Belichick didn't even interview there. Belichick just interviewed in Atlanta. And I mentioned something on Monday, and Peter King had this in his column. And Pete said, the Falcons are opening up their job search. And this is after Bill interviewed twice. And I'm thinking, what else is there that you need to know about Bill Belichick and then turning the team over to him? Everybody talked about Arthur Blank, the owner, his age. Oh, he wants to win. Bill, bring him in. Now you'll get over the hump. And then all of a sudden it was like Atlanta's interviewing quite a few people. I think 14 candidates. And now you're starting to hear, okay, what did Bill Belichick want? What was he asking/demanding? And did that turn off Arthur Blank? And maybe he said, look, I don't want to turn over the front office to you. I don't want you to have total control here. We saw there were some problems in New England with what you did in the front office. As a coach, you're, peerless. But, I mean, that's pretty amazing. Greatest coach of all time. Still wants to coach. And probably not going to get a head coaching job. Pete Carroll still wants to coach. Has the energy of a 50-year-old. Probably not going to coach. Mike Vrabel, wonderful coach, well respected. Remember, there was going to be a line out the door for Mike Vrabel. Well, it's tricky with these owners because they want to be in control. You saw the Patriots with the Kraft family. They started to take some of the power over the last decade from Bill Belichick. It's hard to relinquish control, but the great franchises do. We've seen that. The Steelers, they don't get involved. Giants don't get involved for the most part. They let their coaches coach. The front office people do what they're supposed to do. I don't know if Carolina is going to be back in this position in 2 years from now. The Falcons with Raheem Morris, who got a lot of people speaking on his behalf. Now, he's a defensive coordinator with the Rams. And, he was a coach, a decade ago with Tampa Bay. I loved him back then. I loved his energy. And he gets another go-round, so good for him. But, yeah, the coaching hires, and now where will Bill Belichick be in a year from now? Or is he going to coach this year? Would he do TV? See, Pete Carroll would be good on TV, I think, if we slow down his delivery and we take the gum out of his mouth and then we speed up Bill Belichick's delivery. Maybe I'd just hire Mike Vrabel there. Vrabel would give me a combination there. But I'm wondering, does Washington, it feels like Washington is going to take the Lions offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson. Feels like that's almost a foregone conclusion. Then you got Seattle, which is a little trickier because you had ownership come in and say they wanted to move on in a different direction from Pete Carroll. Ownership. So ownership looking for something different than Pete Carroll. Okay. Is that Mike Vrabel? Is that Dan Quinn? Is that somebody else? Because the game of coaching musical chairs is now down to 2 chairs, and you got a lot of people still walking around those chairs. Somebody wants to sit down. Yeah, Paul.
Do you think some of these NFL owners are hesitant on Belichick because of his age, his demeanor, his demands, or is it a combo of all three?
Probably all of that. I mean, he's got the resume, but then what comes along with the resume? Is he going to take over the front office? Then you have to fire people in the front office. Who is he going to bring in? I mean, it's not. I don't think Dave Canales coming over from the Buccaneers as their offensive coordinator is going to come in and say, I want my people here, or we're going to, I don't want to work for that GM. Belichick comes in just like Harbaugh. Harbaugh went into the Chargers job. He needed everything to be as he wanted it, and that is he's going to dictate the front office here. And Belichick probably came in, and that's a big footprint. And maybe Arthur Blank. It seemed obvious. Like, of course. Now, what if Bill Belichick, in a year from now, we're talking about him taking over the Cowboys or the Buffalo Bills, or throw out some other Kansas City if Andy Reid steps down? How about the Eagles, Nick Sirianni? Those would be better jobs than the jobs that are open or were open here right now.
What do you think of Raheem Morris's hire
Great
by
hire.
Atlanta?
Great hire. And I'm going to tell you, his first stint, obviously Tampa was a mess. And it didn't go quite the way he wanted it to. But
although he did have a 7-win difference from year 1 to year 2.
Yes. But I'm just saying it didn't go the way that he wanted or they wanted.
Okay.
And I think that he's learned a lot. Spent some time over with the Rams, and just listening to him. Last year before the season, he was like, I got a lot of guys. We don't know who these guys are, but I got a lot of guys. And when the Rams took the field on defense, like, you didn't know. It was Aaron Donald and, like, who are the rest of these guys?
Right.
And Raheem did a great job. Did a great job coaching some guys up. Going from a lot of names to a lot of non-name brand names here in LA. And, there's some guys that really stepped up and they made a push and got into the playoffs, man.
Well, some great coaches did not have their first stint go well at all.
Correct.
Mike Shanahan had time with the Raiders before he was a Bronco. Pete Carroll with the Jets and the Patriots before, obviously, USC and Seattle. And then the ultimate with Belichick and Cleveland, although, they did go to the playoffs and win a playoff game, right? And then he and the Browns dissolve.
Yeah. I'm excited for Raheem. He's done a lot of good things in this league. And I'm gonna just say it because it needs to be said. A lot of black coaches don't get a second chance. A lot of black head coaches don't get a second chance. A lot of them don't. We've had a couple, but to see Atlanta, like, okay, and couldn't be a better spot for him. Could not be a better spot for him.
Especially since they did let him out of the building.
Yes.
Last time.
Yep.
They could have removed the interim tag.
They could have.
Did not.
Yeah.
And now here they are again, and
it's like, oh yeah, we messed up.
And they chose him over Belichick. Is really and 12 other candidates.
That sounds. I don't know if that sounds as good as it sounds.
What do you mean by
that?
that?
Makes sense. Like, that's a hard choice.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering what was Bill asking for? What was Bill asking for that they wouldn't give him? Because let's be honest, that's a no-brainer. If you're going 2 defensive coaches, Bill's the obvious pick. And the question is, what did Bill ask for that made them say, nah, Raheem's the guy?
I don't know. It could be as simple as time, to be honest with you. You know, I mean, Raheem is, I won't say half his age.
No, I agree.
But I mean, that it could be as simple as that. I don't know.
But you're an organization looking and searching for an identity, and you need to win.
Oh, I mean, that is the no-brainer. I don't know.
Right.
It could be, that Morris just knocked their socks off.
I hear. I'm not taking anything away
no, I know
from.
that.
But that's and I'm saying this. That would be a hard decision for me. I'm trying to get somewhere. This guy has been 6 times, and I'm trying to get there. It would be hard. And I'm saying, what did Bill ask for, or maybe what was said in the interview that for them, and maybe Raheem, maybe I'm shortchanging Raheem's ability to sit down and like interview, and maybe he blew their socks off. That could be the case, but I'm thinking like, what did Bill like? What did he ask for to where Arthur Blank and company was like, nah?
I don't know. That is going to be the ultimate question, because the speculation surrounds the power structure there, and Rich McKay, the CEO, being there, and maybe Rich and Bill grinded gears for all those years over the competition committee. But this is 1,000,000% total speculation. But Adam Schefter tweeted out that the power structure that the coach and the general manager report to McKay, who reports to Blank, has been changed as well. That Morris and Fontenot are going to be reporting to Blank directly. So I don't know if that was the power structure that Belichick had a problem with. That got removed, it seems. I don't know the answer to it.
That's why I keep saying it. Like, if you to say no, if Bill wasn't your choice, like, what was it? Because if I'm Atlanta, I'm like, what do you need? Bill,
that's what I thought. Honestly, I thought when we were talking about it here, when Belichick had the first interview. TJ, tell Marshall how you thought Belichick's first interview with the Atlanta Falcons went. Go ahead and tell him.
Well, Marshall, Bill comes in, he sits down, hello, how are you? He pulls out a Halliburton briefcase and he opens it, and much like Marcellus Wallace's briefcase in Pulp Fiction, a light emits from it, and he reaches in and he pulls out 8 little silver and gold trinkets, Super Bowl rings, you know what they look like, and he just puts them on the desk in front of him and kind of kicks back. And it's like,
that was the first interview. And then the second interview, the follow-up interview, was just bringing the same thing back to it. Like, that's his interview.
Second interview, he said, that little feeling behind your neck that you feel, that's pride. That's pride.
Messing with your mind.
Messing with your mind. That's pride.
Great Ving Rhames by Marshall Faulk. Well, he got his Atlanta privileges revoked. I mean, I don't know, and it does beg the question. Like,
I hope that I'm shortchanging Raheem's ability to sit down and blow their socks off, and because he had been in the building before, he understands the culture of coaching and being in Atlanta, and embracing whatever that was that he said, here's where I can get you guys. I've been here before. Speaking to that, I hope that's the case, Rich. I'm being honest with you.
Kurt and I saw Belichick on December 23rd, the night before the Christmas Eve game that the two of us called on NFL Network in Denver. He was as into coaching and talking about coaching and the X's and O's as I've ever seen, and as 1,000,000% Belichick in talking about the game with passion and talking about. So it's not as if he didn't want to do it anymore. That's for sure. And he just his institutional knowledge is second to none. Like, I've never witnessed anything like it before. Marshall,
I cannot get out of my head Belichick sitting down with Arthur Blank and McKay and they're asking him questions like he's at a presser. You know the kind of answers that he gives at the pressers.
Yeah. He's just like, we're moving on to the contract. You know, like he can't say we're moving on to the dotted line. You
And
know,
they're trying to
we're
dig
moving
deep.
on to the pen. Like, what are we talking about here? I'm
just picturing him answering the way that he answers pressers.
I don't know. Well, you know him. You've been around him.
Press him
But you've been around
never
him.
allow people to press him for answers.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.
Dan, you hear that from Adam. Why do you think Belichick hasn't landed anywhere yet?
Yeah, I guess the thing that I settle on is too old for a lot of these organizations. I mean, if you look at the average age of these head coaches that have gotten jobs, there are 25 years or so younger than Coach Belichick. I did not anticipate that to be an issue, but I guess they're looking at it and saying, how can you actually connect and relate to these not only young players but younger coaches? We see all these younger coaches coming in that are really high-end coordinators, and I don't know if these organizations are sitting there saying his age is restricting or hindering that.
You know what it is? It's when it's time to stop going to the club, okay? Like when we were all growing up, we loved going out, right? And it was just beautiful. We would go in there and we would buy a table and we would have the drinks coming with the sparkly things coming out of it, and everybody be looking over there like, who is that over there at the party spending all of this money? And everybody want to be a part of your VIP section. And then you get old and you walk in the club and you're 40 and you're looking around and you're like, what the hell are these young kids doing? I can't believe I act like that one day. And that's what it is. That's what it is. Bill, I missed this completely. We talked about this a week ago. And I was like, Bill Belichick is going to be interviewing these teams. And I was absolutely wrong when it came to that. It is the fact that he hasn't come to focus with an offense. And if you look over the past years, it's been bad, y'all. It's been bad hires, it's been bad draft picks, and they haven't had success on the offensive side of the football in the league, where at times you got to score 30 to 40 points to win games now.
All right, so RC did call this on Belichick. We're going to get to him in just a second. But, Mina, I'm curious about the Seahawks. That job is one of those remaining. Who would you like to see go there?
I would like to see them hire the Ravens defensive coordinator, Mike McDonald. The biggest failure of the Seahawks team in recent years has been their inability to stop these Shanahan offenses. They've sliced and diced them, despite the fact that the Seahawks have invested draft capital and used trades to try to address the defense, and it hasn't gotten better. This season, the Dolphins, the Niners, and the Texans, all of whom are part of that tree, all put up the bottom three performances on the season versus the Ravens. The Rams did better, but Matthew Stafford blacked out in that game, so I'm attributing that to that mostly. If I'm Seattle and I got to play Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay twice a year, I want the guy who I believe can stop them. I think it would be a tremendous hire. Now, Roquan Smith and Patrick McQueen aren't coming with him, so they have some personnel issues to address, no doubt. I want to be clear. But I think it makes a lot of sense given their competition and where they've struggled.
Mina, would Roquan Smith and Patrick McQueen
I'm mad at you guys.
Because they are also people who seem to play for that
Boy,
team.
you terrible.
Nobody gets it. Go ahead, RC.
Hey, Mina, I love that. Now, I know you make that take as a homer, as someone who understands who the Seattle Seahawks have to play every single season, and you want to see your team win. I'm going to take it a step further, looking at what they have at the corner position in Tariq Woolen and Devin Witherspoon, who I believe is an absolute star. Are you going to sign Bobby Wagner back to have him as a linchpin or a captain as you do make that transition? And you have some pieces already offensively in DK Metcalf, in Kenneth Walker III, obviously JSN. What offensively, if you bring in one of these young, great offensive minds with creativity, you're going to be able to score points. I think that would be one of the biggest pickups of the entire offseason, and also thinking out of the box while understanding what your box contains. That's a great idea.
All right, so the Seattle job's still open, the Commanders' job's still open. We'll see. Also, Raekwon and our guy Patrick McQueen, they are the people at the club with the sparkly things, okay?
All right. I am done for tonight. So, yeah, I did 5 more deliveries for this Haulin Hearts online event. So, currently have 8 out of 14 deliveries completed, so I have 6 more to go. And I think I can do the rest of those in the next stream. And I'm going to try and go live again tomorrow night. Yeah. And I can finish it. Yep. So like I said, this event won't last too long. It'll end next Sunday on the 18th. So, yeah, it's going good. And yes, I changed my paint job to this other Valentine's. This one's a Heartbreaker paint job. This one looks really cool. And you can see the female driver in there. Yep, perfect. Alright, that's it. I'll see you guys tomorrow for more American Truck Simulator. Have a great night.